here. The way that they've been playing has been calm and collected enough that it can work out. Really going to be interesting to see versus this EUB squad, because we've not seen anything from them so far. We don't know how they play, they don't know what their read on the meta is. Will we go back to more Jinx and Xayah? Quite possibly, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think that bot lane is a really interesting place to visit, because that's where UDL found a lot of their victories. And I think kind of across the matches that we've seen today, there has been a little bit of a diff in the bot lane, and whilst that hasn't necessarily led to victories for the team that is acquiring that differential in the bot lane, it is intriguing that we are seeing so many mismatches on the sort of south side of the rift.
Absolutely, it's been kind of a absolute bloodbath in the bot lane. It's all on the supports, I'd say. Sure, we've had some very nice AD carry performances, but as an AD carry, your job is to farm. You want to go in when your support finds you that angle to go in from. With both of those enchanter supports down in the bot side, it wasn't quite as much of a show, but Humi had some pretty nice ultra fire kicks, you know, super ultra fire kicks. They were decent, and everything.
All was alright. All was alright. And I think the real thing that I've been noticing as well is that there's been a lot of jungle attention towards the bot lane. And so whilst there isn't necessarily kills that are emerging from within the lane itself, if you can get like one or two guys jumping down there as well, you can really break that open. And that's what we saw UDL do in this game, right? It was so difficult for the Jinx to step up. And hey, I think a similar thing happened to Matthew in our previous game as well.
Yeah, really. We saw dives, massive dives down in the bottom side of the map. Just everybody dogpiling down there, expecting a lot more junglers to start their clears up in the top side and work their way down, because these top lanes have been a little bit of an island. Even when you've had a really impressive and aggressive matchup in the top lane, it's still been the bot side where everybody wants to go.
Yeah, and let's see if we can take a little bit of a look at that MVP graphic. Zanzid, the mid laner, coming through from UDL. Really was a team performance. Actually going to be Kasimi. Yeah, no, he kind of crushed it as well. Do you know what? I'm happy with that too.
That's what we said. We didn't really know who was our personal MVP because everybody on the map did just so well. I mean, sure, Kasimi managed to pick a ton of kills and turn that into a lot of aggression towards turrets more than anything. Just constantly getting map pressure for the team.
Yeah, it really was a great performance from him, and someone that I think also has performed well for UDL in the past in the qualification bracket, and so I think someone that they can turn towards in this upcoming match is someone to build a carry around.
It really can do. Simi, brilliant play. If he's able to play like that in the next game, then is a good chance that we're going to be seeing France versus Germany. See what we can see.
We shall. We're going to be jumping to a short break now. Don't go anywhere. Next match coming up in a few minutes.
Shit.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Amazon University Esports Masters. We are here in the last chance qualifier, lower bracket of the League of Legends. We just saw UDL get a victory to push them forward to our next game, which is also going to feature UDL and EUBA from Slovakia. Winner of this one plays off against KIT for a spot in the playoffs. Bloxer, I'm expecting fireworks.
Oh yeah, all of this playing that you've done, all of these games that you've been through, it will be 5 full games of League of Legends before you even make it into that best of 3. And to know that Kit, SC White, the absolute powerhouses from Germany who have won 2 UEMs, came into the quarterfinals last year as well. To know that they're sat there waiting for you is a pretty terrifying proposition, and so everything you've got to play for right now, and you still need enough for a best of 3 left in the tank. France versus Slovakia. We've not seen the Slovakian squad so far. Really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, France versus Slovakia, it's hardly a grudge match, right? But you always want to be getting that dub regardless of who you are playing against. And for UDL, they have selected to be on the blue side, and in their previous game, they were also blue side, chose to go with a first pick Gragas, which worked out in the team thoughts, but Repulsive looked a little bit shaky in the laning phase.
Yeah, it was a tad bit iffy up in that laning phase, getting solo killed out. Poppy is a ridiculously strong champion at the moment. In and of herself, she does a lot of damage when you go towards that Divine Sundera build. And at the same time, there's a lot of champions who like to dash around the map at the moment, making that W, that steadfast presence, incredibly strong. And so, overall, makes Poppy a super strong champion.
Yeah, but then you look at the other UDL squad, and if we're talking about where they were finding their advantages in the early game, it was that bot side. It was Kasimi on this Aphelios paired up with the Milio for Horn, a champion that we haven't seen too many times before. And I wonder if that's going to be something that EBA choose to focus down in the pick and ban.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, all across the map, we've seen really interesting pickups, except for in the bot lane, where we've seen 3 AD carries so far. And for the amount of games that we've played, the fact that we only finally saw something different in the previous one is pretty interesting. The Aphelios, though, for being not the pick that most people wanted to go towards, super, super strong looking.
Yeah, I think the ability, especially with the Graviton gun, the slow into root gun to apply pressure onto something like a Jinx is just why this matchup can be so favorable for the Aphelios. It forces you to take stuff like the cleanse, which you really don't want to be doing on a longer range marksman. But I think there were still angles for UDL, despite how crushing that victory was over their opponents, for them to get taken down. And it wouldn't surprise me if EUB are the ones facing off against Kit in this lower bracket final.
Yeah, quite possibly. Alrighty, as we jump on into this draft phase, we're going to see the Talia come off of the board. Akshan too. Talia's been popping up quite a lot as a support, actually, for a lot of these guys, and so would be interesting to see, not this time around. Riven too coming off of the board, and so some very interesting picks. Not the standards we're seeing. There we go. Aphelios coming off the board.
Yeah, and I do just want to sort of like rewind a little bit to that Riven, because so often you have Riven, not one tricks, but Riven mains come into competitive play, and their team's like, do you know what? You can't be playing that Riven, right? We need you on an Ornn, we need you on a Malphite. But this ban is sort of implying that EUB are more than happy to put Qualitative onto a carry. Maybe it's not going to be the Riven this time around, but they could still have a strong split pusher coming out of the top side.
Certainly could do. See a couple more bans coming through right here, and so Gragas off of the board. It's been one of those great flex picks recently. What is this first pick for the French squad going to be? Do they want to pick themselves up once again a top laner nice and early? Maybe you want to pick yourself up that Jinx. Jace instead has been banned quite a lot and is super duper strong right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some of the power of those accelerated shot blasts really ruin the days of the long-range AD carries, like the Jinx. So maybe that's disincentivized for EUB to pick up, as we have typically been seeing these AD carries come through in the first 3 picks.
We certainly have done. You can see that both of the Premier picks are still available. Ezreal instead going to be that pickup, and like you said, don't want to be caught in an accelerated shock blast. Ezreal Karma is one of those bot lanes that pokes out the opposition so much that it's very difficult to watch, to be honest, as they just get poked constantly. You don't get to just play that bot lane. Your choices are either to take something very aggressive and just try to get on top of them, or you just have to sit back and accept the fact that you're getting pushed on the tower for the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I just feel every single Mystic shot just deeply in my heart. And it's actually Kasimi who's going to be on the Jinx this time around. We're expecting him to get sort of bullied a little bit in the early stages, but once you hit that 2-item breakpoint, you're going to be absolutely fine, especially paired up with the Milio. Usually, Ezreal can kind of outrange the Jinx as the game gets later. Not going to be the case here.
Absolutely not. You're going to give the Jinx a ton of extra attack speed, attack range, loads of extras, as well as the fact that you can cleanse away a ton of the CC that a Karma can lay down. Really nice pickup right here. See what this final pick is going to be, and it is going to be a Bel'Veth. Okay, it's again another one of those champions that a lot of the junglers have been practicing recently, and just deals a ridiculous amount of damage. The early couple of levels, you just want to sit back and farm, and then as soon as anything that is a bit purple pops up on the map, the Baron, the Rift Herald, you have got to go straight for it.
Yeah, it also means that you've got to be really careful with what chromas that you're picking if you're on the side of UDL.
Yeah.
Can't pick too many Void champions, otherwise she's going to take over. But no, it can be one of these picks that really just breaks games. And when you have got this bottom lane in the Ezreal Karma, which can be very, very lane dominant, but is more of a sort of secondary carry lane, you don't really play towards it too much because you're confident it's just going to win on its own. Yeah, you can draft a carry coming out of the jungle and expect good things.
You really can do. Vi going to come off of the board because you do not want to be out-ganked, really, as a Bel'Veth. That could be quite an issue. Maokai too, and so going to have to find something a little bit different into the jungle. Hasteen didn't show us anything too impactful in the previous game that we saw. You know, it was a perfectly decent performance, sort of held everything else together. We saw how good that Amumu was, could be a potential pickup, but you really need something that can get on top of a Karma Ezreal, which is pretty difficult.
Yeah, or maybe just like get them out of the fight just generally. You don't necessarily need to kill them, but if the Ezreal's not hitting Mystic shots, he's fundamentally not dealing damage. Syndraban, interesting to see that coming out from Zhangji. Clearly didn't enjoy his time versus Iris in the previous game. And EUB could pick up their mid laner here, save that counter pick for...
Okay. Karma mid.
It's Karma mid. Or...
I love it. I love it. I love the Blitzcrank pickup right here because Milio is one squishy little kid.
Yes.
He is very easy to kill, especially during the early stages of the game. Exactly when a Blitzcrank wants to get aggressive. We're going to see the Yone again. Zangsid was really good on it last time around, and I can see why you'd want to play it again.
Yeah, and with this Sejuani picked up for Hairstein, you have got two melee topside champions, the Jason in his hammer form and the Yone in his all the time form, that can help stack up those frost stacks even faster, getting that stun down, making this champion so much more effective in terms of the early ganks. And now EUB, they've got this counter pick. What they're going to lock in, it's going to be the Irelia.
Okay.
Full carry mode coming out of this solo lane.
I love that. I love that a lot. You can take your Aurelia. That's a super aggressive matchup in the top side. Very skill orientated as well. Just going to be watching to see what can happen. Will also be interesting too because you can move that Aurelia and that Karma around quite a lot as well. They can swap lanes if you want to because Aurelia has a decent matchup into the Yone too. Very, very skill orientated, but you don't have to deal with the long ranged accelerated shock blast that Repulsive will be able to use on this Jace.
Yeah, and the thing about the Irelia is she can find like really sort of great access onto champions like the Jace who want to play at a bit more range in the laning phase because you can just like blade surge through people, dash onto them, get on top of them, and once you're at that point, there are very, very few champions in the game that can contest you in the 1v1. EUB, I'm not gonna lie, this is a very weird draft. They've got almost no engage at all. You are hoping that that Blitzcrank hook is going to pull a high-value target in a team fight. Otherwise, you are kind of lacking on tools to get things started.
Yes, you are. I mean, the kind of matchups that we were expecting was perhaps nothing right here that the Slovakians have picked for themselves, and I love it. I really like the way that they've decided to play this one. Just gotta go full aggression. Now, we don't know what they've been playing during the previous games. Maybe this is just the style that they like to pick up. But we did see that this French squad likes to play a little bit calmer, a little bit less aggressive than perhaps a couple of the other teams we followed so far today. And so maybe getting just aggressive, try to bully them out in the bot lane. Your jungler can deal a ton of damage if she can get onto targets. Like you said, though, it is a lot of pressure right now onto Sirius down towards that support role.
Yes, it is. And with the Ezreal, you do expect this Blitzcrank to be getting out of lane a little bit more. It's not like that Ezreal is going to be under too much threat from a Jinx Milio. But if those roams aren't successful, then you've invested a lot of draft resources into this support pick, saving it for so late in the draft that could get no value at all.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty on it, I'm going to say, with the Blitzcrank. Because if you hit a hook, not just... if you don't hit hooks, obviously that's bad, but if you do hit hooks onto the wrong champion and you've just dragged...
We're talking about Hayestein here.
Yeah, we are. To be fair, yeah, we are. If you just grab him into the backline and all of a sudden, oh, you've really messed up here. It's a lot of pressure that you're putting onto his back, onto him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look across the board at the other carries that you sort of drafted yourselves in this Irelia and in this Belveth. If they snowball, they're going to be absolutely great, but it's not like Jace and Yone are slouches in terms of damage either.
No, it really isn't. Will we get something interesting during the level 1? I mean, if anybody's going to do it, it will be a Blitzcrank. Ward has been placed. It's just going to be taken. You know, get yourself that extra little bit of XP. Get the level 2 just a tiny bit earlier. Therias is just going to take him and the Ezreal into this bot side of the map. Interesting to see if they're going to stick around and try to pick themselves up this. There they are. Actually, it's going to be a full split map situation. And so, Haystein going to be up towards the top side and Bladjo all the way for the bot side.
I'm intrigued to see how UDL deal with this because, like, theoretically, in my mind, Hayerstein staying on the top side should be good for them as Repulsive going in for a very aggressive trade versus Qualitative. He is starting to move towards the Sejuani, and I'm not sure if EUB's top laner is aware that that is the case. That's a flash forward onto this Jace. Here comes the Sejuani, the Blaze Surge forward, but no!
He can keep going.
UDL! They think that they've got the play working out for them, but Qualitative is able to survive. He's able to get the kill. Hayerstein flashes away over the wall. You can tell there was a plan, but it was executed horribly.
So badly. Qualitative level 1, able to just keep himself more than happy in this lane. It's just going to be quite low now. Needs to be careful from Repulsive.
There's no flash available for the Aurelia. This is just going to be a kill donated over. Okay, so 1-1 in terms of top laners. Dive in the bottom lane. Kasimi's dead. He's going to get one back onto the Belveth, but it's a 2-for-1 in favor of EUB.
Oh my god, that's incredibly aggressive out of the Slovakians, managing to pick themselves up 2 kills, and sure, you lose your jungler for it, but that's a full turret plate too, going into the back pocket of your Ezreal. Look at all of these minions too that are just being taken out by the tower and not by Kasimi. Oh, everything in this game exploding instantly, not slow like the previous game.
Not at all, and you can see how accelerated this Ezreal already is, up a couple of waves. Yes, Kasimi is going to be able to collect those, but down summoner spells on a Jinx versus a Blitzcrank is a bad position to be in.
It really is. Blitzcrank just missing out on that hook. You can see how aggressive, though, Teras is being allowed to play. Ezreal deals plenty of poke damage like we said, but if you chip your opposition down enough, why not go for the dive? Sure, Bladjo did die, but...
Oh, Qualitative getting another kill! Onto Repulsive. Every time we pan up to top lane, someone's dying!
Qualitative is getting himself in a very good spot right here, and you do not want to be getting this many kills against you as a Jace. Jace has to get aggressive, otherwise he's not particularly useful.
Well, we're getting a little bit of a skirmish in the bot side river, and it's Bladjo taking out Hayerstein. Jangzid is roaming over, low mana on the Blitzcrank. Not going to be able to contribute much, but still gets the shield and is able to stay alive. Yone desperately attempted to deal damage to take him out, but he's not going to be successful. Bladjo, now the one being focused down, gets the exhaust, gets the knock-up, disengage, flashing away the hook, pulls Horn over the wall.
Hang on.
And EUB may have just picked out the Melio. Akalism is playing here onto Zangzid as the Ezreal has once again rejoined the fray, and EUB are going to have the numbers advantage, but here comes Hayerstein. Horn getting cycled into the pit. He's locked in there, has the flash, he's able to just about get away. And somehow no one dies on the back half of that play, but EUB coming out of this early game swinging and hitting hard.
Seriously long fight right there, and EUV managing to come out on top. They've got themselves about a 2k gold lead at this point in the game, about 1k, but still quite a lot for this early stages. Right, let's see if there's another kill.
Flawless duet going down onto Repulsive, fighting in the minion wave versus the Irelia. Flash back away. That Blade Surge being reset. Level up for Repulsive. It's going to be big for him in potential 1v1, and Qualitative missing out on the reset means he's not going to be able to go any further forward.
Just going to have to walk away. Very useful because Hayerstein was on his way up there too. Need to be very careful not to get dove right now. Qualitative does have some support though. Bladjo does arrive. Is going to spot out this play, and it should just fizzle out.
Aggression being decided against. Jangzid actually looking for a kill onto Ankalism, but Sirius is here! The flash forward will secure the kill for the Yone, who's escaping on very low HP. Another dash back away, but he's going to have to go back to that soul unbound. Bladjo getting jumped onto, staying alive for a millisecond long enough on the Belveth to take out that Yone. But we have got 10 kills, barely 5 minutes in. We're going to have even more as it's a double kill for Repulsive. Qualitative can't quite find the stun. Repulsive actually get a blast cone back towards his opponent as Hayerstein pulls out the flail, trying to stack up the stuns. Qualitative going into the bush, waiting on cooldowns. You know that he's trying to turn this. You know he's thinking, how can I get the outplay? Or maybe he's just thinking, how the hell do I get out of this situation? He's going to go into that stance. He's not quite going to be able to get the dash through. Repulsive on a killing spree.
Finally, the stacks out of the Sejuani come through just in the nick of time because that flawless duet was landed onto Repulsive. So close to going down. That's now 4 kills onto this Jace after losing out to death in the early game. That is not a good sign for EUB. They had a nice spot for themselves, all of a sudden back to being even. And everything in this game feels super tense. You can tell that these teams are so close to being able to make it into the playoffs again. You still have to get through Kittersea White, but your opponent right now in front of you is the most important matchup that you're ever going to play.
And as it stands, both teams are really giving as good as they get. 6 kills apiece, even in terms of the goal. But that Jace is going to be something you need to worry about. Horn spotting out members of EUB as they're trying to steal away this red buff. Zangzid moving down with a level 6, gets 2 with a fade on Sealers. Kasimi flashing over the wall on the Jinx. UDL need to get kills here, but they don't find any.
Oh, they just managed to punt them all into the pit, managing to get away. And it looked like, in the end, the kills were nearly picked up by the Drake. So much damage. That fairly sealed was incredibly good. Zangzid showed us how good he could be on this Yone in the previous game, and is not disappointing in this one.
Yeah, look at that mid lane CS differential that is being built up. The Karma is not really a champ that you're picking to pressurize the Yone too much. You just kind of want to go even, but that is emphatically not happening at the moment. Repulsive, with all of that gold, has spent it on some items and is doing a fair bit of damage onto the Irelia.
Yeah, look at the amount of damage you're able to do from so far away with that long-range form.
Oh, Zang's hit is going to be going for a dive here. Qualitative surely just needs one more hit, but the damage is not enough, and the Irelia somehow is still alive.
Hill just about surviving the potential counterplay right here. Oh,
Engage coming through in the bot lane. Ultimate coming out from the Ezreal. Horn, about 200 HP. The heal comes out. So there's a shutdown in the top lane for Akalism. And Lajo going on to Zangzid with the help of his Karma as well. They're going to get the root under the tower. The Belveth getting another kill for herself.
You can see potential re-engage right here out of Kasimi.
Yeah.
Did a lot of damage to the Ezreal. Just about going to dodge away from that zap. Does have the
rockets
ult.
keep landing. The rockets keep landing. No flash. The zap going wide. The hook connects him, pulls him to his doom, and it's another kill for the Ezreal.
Oh, Kasimi's only level 5 in that situation. If he'd have had the ultimate, it would have been a kill. Instead, Sirius managing to pick up that hook. What a play right there. And that's the kind of carry performance you need on this Blitzcrank. You are the main engage for your team. Sure, Qualitative can go flying in, but it is on you to hit a hook. In that situation, it looked very bad
my
for
word.
Slovakia.
Oh my word, they're fighting again! Glacial Prison aimed at an Evelyn in another game, I have to assume, as that one goes wide from Hairstein, and the pace of this game just does not slow down. Zangzid gonna have to use that Fate Seal to get back over the wall as UDL. They recognize that they need to contest this Rift Herald against the Belveth, but EUB just bringing more members to the party. Sirius once again getting involved on the Blitzcrank. Getting a knock-up down onto Zangzid, who doesn't have that ultimate, but it's EUB that are running for the hills. Big stun coming through as back goes the Yone to his own soul. Accelerated shot breath, not going to hit there onto the Blitzcrank. Actually going to pull in the Jace away from Qualitative, who's not going to be able to deal damage to him. Sejuani tanking up in the front side. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes through, but it's not going to kill off anybody. Horn, level 5. Ooh. True shot barrage. Not going to take down Repulsive, who probably shouldn't be standing there if he values his life. But it looks like EUB, the team that is going to take down this Rift Herald.
He still sounds so unsure, and why not? Because these health bars are blinkingly low. Luckily for EUB, they managed to pick this one up. They have another 3.5 minutes to put it down to get some turret plating. I'm not even sure where you'd want to put it at this point. The whole map is so ridiculous.
Well, Zangzid sees Sirius coming over from the other side and is going to turn onto Akalism. Flash desperately attempted to kill the Karma, and they are going to be successful. It's a 2v2 now, but this Belveth is incredibly scary to deal with. Hook gonna land once more onto Yone. Sirius just doesn't seem to miss on this pick. The Ignites not enough to take down Zangzid, but for all the questions we had about this robot in the bot lane, it is being piloted absolutely beautifully.
Sirius doing a lot of damage and managing to make this champion work. I always love it when there's a Blitzcrank in the game. And for this reason, when he hits that hook, it's incredibly hyped. Unfortunately, during that big team fight around the Rift Herald, hit hook to his own demise, but did manage to pull them in enough to get another kill for his team, at least. And that's kind of the way you have to play this Blitzcrank. You are playing for the team. I expect a lot of deaths for Sirius as he drags people in who manage to kill him, but if it makes the rest of the team that much stronger, And it is all good. Also, 11:30 seconds into the game, no Drakes down.
They've been too busy fighting topside blocks. So what do you want from them?
Have these teams, did they just go back and watch the Yenomizla game? Have they decided that this is the way to play League of Legends? Hey, apparently it's the way to beat Kit.
Oh, there's another hook. There's another hook onto Kasimi. We're flashing onto tower on the Blitzcrank. Kasimi just about able to get away. And that's a reset. That is a big kill for the Jinx. And Bladjo not going to be able to pick up anything more. The Herald is going to be summoned, and with low HP bars for UDL, they will back away. A big injection of gold going to come through into this Ezreal. A TP actually going to be channeled here from Zhangzid, not content to give over first towers in the top lane. Highstain and Repulsive going for a 2v1 onto Qualitative, who's trying his damnedest to make it work, but isn't able to get a kill.
And that bot side, the warm hugs out of Milio.
Oh, we just keep fighting. We just keep fighting. The Ezreal is dead. That's a massive shutdown here for the Yone, as Bladjo is looking to pick up Kasimi and can keep going forward with those Qs. Getting the first kill, getting the reset now. Looking potentially for Zhangzid, but the route not connecting for the Karma means there's no opportunity for the kill. Here comes Sirius. Here comes the hook. The God Hand connects every single time, and it's an unstoppable kill for Bladjo.
Managing to pick up even more kills. Once Sirius rejoins the fight, you know that that hook was gonna land. That is also going to be first turret blood as well for the side of EUB. This Slovakian team making it work right now. 7-2-2, 650 gold shutdown for Bladjo. And of all the champions to have that much gold, the Belveth is exactly who you want to have gotten this fed.
Keeps accelerating through the game, and look at his mid laner here. Supportive itemization going to be coming out from the Karma, recognizing that, hey, I've got 50 CS at the moment. I don't need to be a carry. I've got this jungler alongside me who can really make it work. Push, grouping up in the mid lane. Highstain, he just wants to walk through his own jungle, but you're not allowed to do that. He's just going to be able to Arctic Assault away. Sirius low on mana, taking a lot of shots at the back of the head from this Jinx. Walking towards the blast cone. Zap gonna come through. He's not quite able to escape as the Super Mega Death Rocket will take him down. Third kill of the game for Kasimi, but UDL need to keep making plays like that. They are slowly falling further behind. Dragon is something that they could turn towards 14 minutes in.
Finally, we're gonna see a Dragon being picked up. Bladjo is around, is full health, but without the rest of the team about to help him out, not going to be able to contest for this one. And so, initial Drake does go down. It is the Hextech Drake. Next time around is going to be a Cloud, so we're going to actually have a quite interesting Soul.
Oh, nice dodge there on the flawless duet from Repulsive. Means he's able to trade back a decent bit of damage on to Qualitative. Has got that Eclipse completed on the Jace and is getting very, very swiftly towards that Mura mana. But on the whole, it's EUB who are feeling a little bit better about the way that this game is going. And the fact that UDL took that Drake so damn late, it's not like that they've got a Soul in their back pocket that they can rely on as this game goes later and later.
No, they don't. 2k gold lead as well, however.
Oh no.
Hasn't finished the first item.
Yeah,
Hits the flawless duet.
He's just going to get finished here. Absolutely no hope for the Jace. Another death for himself. And blocks up. I don't know if you've looked in this Blitzcrank's inventory recently.
I have. I've been ignoring it.
I think we might be getting a Neverfrost.
We are going to get an Everfrost, and why not? When you hit the hooks that often, you don't need to survive particularly long as Sirius, you just need to be annoying. That is the main job of a Blitzcrank, is to annoy your opponents. And this way, when you've got such a strong Belveth, as long as your opponents are slowed up, Bladjo is going to be able to be more than happy to pick up as much damage onto these champions as possible. Right now, Ezreal perfectly happy to just sit mid lane, take out a turret, and overall, things are going from bad to worse for the French squad.
Root going to come down on Kasimi. That's a lot of damage. Zhangzid not even able to get over the wall in time to prevent his Jinx from going down. Ezreal flashing away, Mystic shots connecting, no knockup going to come through. Finally, the kill comes out. Repulsive claiming that one as Cole's. Qualitative has also joined the fray. Bladjo fighting up. The Karma is going to get taken down. Another whiff on the Sejuani ultimate. Just a 2 for 2 thus far. Knockup does connect to the Belveth. Has an absolutely disturbing amount of damage at this point in the game. Godlike for Bladjo. Mid lane tower going to be the next one falling.
Slicing Maelstrom does so much damage and keeps him so alive. Bladjo just going to keep pressing forwards. Oh, another snipe.
The Super Mega Death Rocket. We had a couple of those come out from Kasim, and it's vital that he's picking up these kills on the Jinx, because as it stands, the rest of the map is not going particularly well for UDL. But if your Jinx is still scaling, then there's a chance that you'll be able to hold against EUB.
Nice. We can see snipes coming out of Kasimi, snipes coming out of Ezreal as well. Very well played right here. Serious looking again.
You just can't walk up in mid lane. Ultimate going to be up to try and get the silence down. The hook, it just lands. It just lands every single goddamn time. A 4th kill for this Ezreal. Hayastain with a frost armor can just about walk itself away. But EUB support has been causing chaos across the map.
MVP if EUB managed to win out on this one. Bladjo going for a 1v1 in the top lane, gonna easily take down Repulsive. Just surviving on a tiny little bit of HP still, but gets smoked down right here. Bladjo is absolutely legendary in this game.
And Zangzid is going for a 1v1 onto Qualitative. Shieldbow gonna be popped. Will disengage from the play. It's just so difficult now for UDL. EUB are doing what Y and Z do. They're just forcing all of these plays, hands-checking UDL and winning.
And managing to just deal more than enough damage. Perfectly happy to just sit in these fights and just keep going. Keep the tempo up and high, because at this point, UDL, they haven't been able to find a way to just keep themselves afloat in this game. Every single fight, they get a kill, sure, but they end up losing 2-3 members. Down at this point by 6k gold, we're reaching towards that 10k gold lead, which is the point at which you're pretty scared for a team. Bladjo needs to be careful here.
Does he die? Does he die? Does he die?
No. That's a fast Belveth with plenty of dashes in lots of different directions.
Yay.
Yay. Blitzcrank though.
Very cool.
Does he want it?
I think he permanently wants it, right? I don't think there is any point in this game where Sirius doesn't want it. The question is whether UDL are in a position to let him have it. And you need to pay a lot of respect to this Blitzcrank going wide there for the first time, it feels like, in about 10 years. Rift Herald going to be summoned in the bot lane. EUB 5 members strong with this push. There's no way that UDL can hold this tower. Instead, they're going to be going for a T-Fry. It's actually a load of damage onto EUB, and that Blitzcrank has been taken off the board. Zhangzid not really connecting onto anybody with a Fate Seal, but still dropping damage onto Bladjo. The Karma trying to get away. There goes Super Death Rocket. Actually, he's coming over the wall. He's getting exploded himself. Ezreal now on a killing spree, still going forward with the auto, still going forward with the mystic shots. Repulsive, desperately attempt to get 1 kill back, and he will be successful. But you need to respect the damage that this Ezreal could put out.
Yeah, you cannot get too close to him, otherwise you will just be slowly chunked down by those mystic shots. Next Drake has spawned. See if anybody wants to go towards this one. I'm expecting not for another couple of minutes. Pretty insane fight, and a little bit too aggressive. Qualitative hit a massive flawless duet, but Bladjo just went into the backline amongst 4 members. Sure, managed to pick up 1 kill, but gets taken out themselves. And when you are 11, 3, and 4, you have the majority of your team's power in your back pocket. You can't be just throwing it away like that.
Absolutely not. And as Bladjo is getting towards that death stance, as you imagine is going to be the next item coming through for the Belveth, it's going to be a little bit tankier in those sorts of situations, but you still need to respect that UDL have got a lot of damage for themselves. Repulsive, Kasimi, Zhangzid, you can't disrespect these champions' damage output, otherwise they will punish you.
You really will. Needs to be incredibly careful if you don't want to throw this away. Lose in this one and you are out of UEM. Win and you get a chance to go into the playoffs. Sirius looking again, hits the hook!
Of course he does. Of course he does. Another death for Repulsive and another kill for Bladjo.
That's the way the game has gone.
Such a reliable combo for EUB, and Horn is going to be another victim. It happens again. This is the way that the Slovakian team get kills. And Bladjo could just stand there chilling.
He's perfectly happy. Why not when you can absorb this much damage? The Slicing Maelstrom allows Bladjo to just absorb so much damage. Hayastain is on a flank.
Of course it's a hook, but actually the Ezreal is being caught out, been isolated, been shut down by Zhangzid. And that's a reset coming through for Kasim on the Jinx. They need to be careful though, Bladjo on the other side. That's a flash from Sirius, but he misses on the hook. And now the Blitzcrank has got no way of getting out of this situation. Pops the ult for a little bit of disengage. That's 3 dead on the side of EUB, and Baron is on the board.
It is up and available. Bladjo still alive, so there is a smite right here for the Slovakians, but they need to be super careful. You're missing out on a lot of your power. Your Ezreal is dead. Your Karma is dead. Your Blitzcrank is dead. Qualitative making the most down towards the bottom side and just pushing forwards, but it's going to have to be a steal out of Bladjo.
Can he do it? The teleport is going to come through the top lane of the jungler. Going to be diving into the Baron pit. The attempt comes through, but it's secured by Hayestein, and the kills are going to come out for UDL as well. It's a double for Kasimi, and once again, a Baron pulls the underdog back into the game.
Oh, it felt like UDL were down and out. I wasn't sure if the French roster were going to be able to pull themselves back into this game, but over-aggression out of Slovakia when they did not have their very powerful Belveth around, and it spells disaster. You can see the idea behind Bladjo and Qualitative trying to get into that pit. Could have been a steal. It was a straight 50-50, but not quite managing to pick that one up. It is absolute disaster right now.
We've got another pick coming through onto the Karma. UDL are taking over in this mid-game. A double kill for Kasimi. 3 items, 10 kills on the Jinx. And once more, in the span of 90 seconds, the trajectory of the game, the trajectory of these two teams has completely flipped.
Jinx is online.
Sirius is trying to get something done. Qualitative is diving forward into the team, but he's all on his own. Godlike for Kasimi. The hook forward onto Hayestein. That's not the target that you wanted. UDL are doing it.
They are pulling themselves back into this game. France wants to face off against Germany for the final spot in those playoffs, making their way forwards, picking up another turret, another one. Fights down in the bot lane, Repulsive versus Bladjo.
And the Jace is doing pretty damn well. The Belveth taken low as well. Kasimi fighting up with Ezreal once more, finding the kill. UDL, they've just been going on this push for what feels like 2 minutes. No one is able to take down this Jinx, and the Nexus towers are now being focused. Sirius is here, Bladjo is here. There's 5 members of UDL. All they need to do is take down these last 2 Nexus towers, and somehow, from absolutely nowhere, UDL take down EUB and then send themselves to the qualification match.
UDL, it felt like they were down and out, but the French roster managed to drag themselves, kicking and screaming, back into this game, and it turns on its head. All of a sudden, Baron plays are the downfall of teams who are ahead.
They can't keep getting away with it.
They cannot.
They cannot keep getting away from it. Another early game where we thought UDL were just gone.
Yeah.
We thought they were completely out of it, but it was one play.
Yep.
They got that team fight, they got the Baron, and then they just didn't stop pushing.
Belveth plus Blitzcrank equaled kill, but all of a sudden, Belveth wasn't there. They managed to get a good couple of kills onto the remaining members, pick up a Baron, and that's it. That's game. The ability of this French team to turn around a bad early game is very impressive. However, they keep having bad early games, and that worries me.
Yes, it does. The ability to play 20 minutes is great, but the ability to play pre-20 minutes would also be fantastic. Holy moly, Kasimi. It just feels like this guy turns into a different player. As soon as he gets that first kill, as soon as he feels confident in team fights, he's just absolutely unleashed.
It was a ridiculous showing, and during the early game, it felt pretty bad being bullied out towards the bottom side of the map, but it's a Jinx. Jinx is inevitable. Eventually, this champion will come online, and once it does, oh boy, being able to run through people. I was slightly worried we were going to see a Penta at some point there with the way that those get exciteds were coming through, rockets landing constantly. The only reason that we didn't was just because people were dying too quickly.
And let this be a lesson. Comp matters.
Yeah.
The champions you pick before you even load into the game matter so much. EUB, they were making plays, they were making things happen, but as soon as we got into these grouped up situations, they just weren't able to operate at the same level of efficiency. And I'm going to be honest, Boxer, I'm still in complete shock, not just because UDL won that game, but the way that they turned it so damn quickly.
And the fact that we've seen turnarounds like that multiple times today, it's not been the team who wins the early game wins the late game. It has been a little bit of a show on this patch recently, actually, that the early game matters a little bit less. Baron has been a true, I was going to say hurdle, but I don't even think hurdle, because hurdles are meant to be jumped, like an unscalable mountain for the teams who are ahead, who they have to slowly climb their way over. Is so tricky. These snap decision Baron calls have been such strong points. So many of these teams, France, they've just about managed to put themselves into this matchup. They now come up against KST White. If they play their early game as poorly as they did, I do think that it's going to be a little bit difficult, but they've shown that they can fight their way back.
Yeah, and MVP for that game, of course, has to be Kasim, if we could pull the graphic up. Unreal. Those stats don't look great, by the way. 3.5 KDA, 7 CS per minute. That's not incredible, but the damage that this guy was outputting for the last 2.5 minutes of the game, I think completely wipe away the sins of the first 20.
It's a jinx. Eventually, it will deal enough damage, and as long as your team is able to hold on for long enough, you will be okay. It's a ridiculous showing right here out of everybody on UDL to be able to fight back like that. But What a stressful game. You're now up against Kit, who have sat there and chilled out for 2 games worth of time, and you've been playing non-stop since 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, and as much as knowing your own game is important, and in these League of Legends events where we are having multiple best of ones, consecutive best of ones in a single day, being able to play your own style is so incredibly important. But like you said, Kit, they've seen UDL over these past couple games, and whilst I think you need to respect the tenacity, whilst you need to respect the desire of this team to win in situations where it looks so unlikely, there's angles that you can attack them. There's ways that you can beat them, and a team as good as Kit are able to exploit that. We are going to be jumping to a short break, but coming up, the qualification match, the final chance to make it all the way to UEM playoffs, KIT versus UDL. We'll see you in a bit.
I'm only talking flash, then in deposits. I maneuver on some calls in the South Street. Round the clock, can't tell me nothing. This is everything I wanted. Flash in deposits. I maneuver on some calls in the South Street. Round the clock, can't tell me nothing. This is everything I wanted. She ain't know it, but I'm everything she wanted. She ain't know it, but I'm everything I wanted.
Look, I'm manifested where I'm at. The credit card just up the max, and everything I do, I tax. It's hard to buy my time. They see me shining, my paint dripping, I'm acting different. I keep it modest till I turn up, I've been champagne sipping. They clock watch while I big boss and a flossing proper. I'm quick to slide like a slip, not ducking cops and robbers. Been on the wave, you can't tame, they press and play to play me. And I'm out of body, my vibration high, I'm levitating. I feel amazing, I'm keeping space away from them toxins. I'm going places, I'm gassed up, ain't no limitation. Headed where that tree in that weather, got my melanin popping. Whip with the leather, the softest, motherfucker humble brag. I'm bad boy with that cash, ready to spaz. I splash the dash, digital rad. They mad, cause try and bite too hot to handle. I ghost ride it, I pilot phantom. My mind ain't yet hit its prime. They ask me when I'm quitting. Decline to answer, I'm unbothered, I'm kind-mannered. But fuck a body in the way, cause I've been moving at a rate where any day the fuse gon' burn out. Then I blow up, then we go up, tell a hater, so what? It's in my veins, I'm cold-blooded and function. I'm flawless, I'm manufactured different. They carbon copy, they sloppy, I'm everlasting with it. I'm legendary, it's very scary, I'm seeing this through the finish.
I'm only talking flash in deposits. I maneuver on some calls in the South Street. Round the clock, can't tell me nothing. This is everything I wanted. I'm only talking flash in deposits. I maneuver on some calls in the South Street. Round the clock, can't tell me nothing. This is everything I wanted. She ain't know it, but I'm everything she wanted. She ain't know it, but I'm everything I wanted. She ain't know it, but I'm everything she
Cool,
wanted.
yeah, in the middle. Kick raps like riddles, Got game wrapped up like Reynolds. Kush packed like Skittles, Move like I'm supposed to be, I chose to be this lit. Shorty at the show just wanna get close to me and pose for me, then flick. And to be honest, girl, that's cool with me. Hey, yeah, at home in my t-shirt and all my jewelry. That too cool for school, but you know that ain't fooling me. Let her do her thing, cause I can't tell her mama who to be. Girl, that's rude to me. And if she wanna swing that Lexus down to Texas, know that I'm gon' let her. What the fuck I look like trippin'? I got polo on my sweater. Give a fuck about all that gossip, cause them don't know no better. I'm on and poppin' till I can't fold up no more cheddar. What they mad at me for? Cause I'm out here stuntin' like my daddy, plus with all my Negroes. I'ma drop that pen, I'ma send that addy. Players front of me, don't roll no me. What the fuck you thought?
Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. Welcome to the culmination of all of today's League of Legends. We're here in the lower bracket, last chance qualifier of the Amazon University Esports Masters. The final chance to make it all the way to the playoffs. KIT, with their loss to Yenzelmar a little bit earlier on in the day, are going to be facing off against UDL, who just pulled up one of the most insane comeback victories I have ever seen in my life. Bloxer, we've got potentially 3 games in front of us. I'm sure that we're going to be in for some action.
Oh, hell yeah. Kit SC, we showed how good they can be. They nearly managed to come back versus Vizsla. Didn't quite manage it, but still insane plays. Over here, though, France, they looked down and out. The Belveth Blitzcrank combo was really doing a number on them, but all of a sudden managing to turn it around, pick up a kill, and I'd say that both of these teams have had a lot of practice versus high-powered, high-octane competition who have really liked to play fast. So I'm going to be fascinated to see if both these teams decide to sit back and slow down a little bit, or if we're going to keep up this high-octane action.
Well, I'm pretty sure we were over 2 kills a minute in our previous game. But I think, to be fair, a lot of that was being initiated by EBA. So maybe we do see something slow. But I'm really interested to see how these lane matches are going to go. Because obviously, we've seen KIT a little bit earlier on. They did lose, but it was a strong performance coming out from them. And we've had a couple games of UDL now where It's been a little bit crazy, if I'm being perfectly honest.
That's certainly one way to put it. It's not been a clean road to get here, and it is interesting because obviously both of these teams have lost a game to be knocked down to this point, to be in these losers bracket finals. But it feels like Kit have had a much cleaner road to get here. Obviously, they won everything up until they lost to UNIVERSITY. And to be fair, losing to UNIVERSITY is not a particularly embarrassing feat. It is something that a lot of teams have had happen to them with the way that they play. Whereas for France, it's been a tough old grind to get here. It wasn't like it felt like they just blasted their way through Slovakia just now. Gotta be honest, it didn't feel like they just blasted their way through any of the competition we've seen them against.
Yeah, it really feels like they find that one opportunity and then they just try and push it as hard as they can, and they will look for that opportunity no matter what the score in the game is, what the goal differential is, what the game state is at all. And that's a great quality to have as a team, especially when you are going up against Kit who have all of this experience. And for me, the most interesting matchup in this game is actually going to be in that bottom lane, because Kasimi has been a massive factor in UDL's wins. And something that we noticed in that loss versus YNZ was that Matthew and Cube in the bot lane for Kit, it didn't really work out as well as they would have hoped.
No, it definitely did not. I mean, sure, you're up against the absolute insanity that is P-God. So sure, losing is not that embarrassing, but I mean, clearly Kasimi can also lay down ridiculous damage. And so you just worry a little bit. Matthew needs to step up, needs to be able to deal just a little bit more, actually get involved in the early stages of this game. If he can't, it makes me worry just a little bit, just a tad, about how this team is actually going to be able to match up. Overall, you'd have to put your eggs in the KSC basket because this team has got the pedigree. It's got the names that you know of. You know, Gentleman Hero up in the top lane, despite the fact he didn't have a great game versus Yenomizla, is such a good player.
Striker as well.
Oh yeah, both of these two. Striker was, I mean, we saw in that interview versus Yenomizla, he was trying to 1v9, is what Lucas said.
Oh yeah.
He tried really hard. If we see, once again, another situation where we have that Amumu down towards in that jungle, oh, that's a little bit worrying because it was so well played, but it's not like we think France are just going to roll over and die. We just are cautious.
Yeah, we are a little bit. And I think some of that comes from Repulsive, right? Because on the face of things, if you look at the scoreboards, it's been pretty damn good for him. But there have been a few moments in the laning phase particularly where you go, hold on, not necessarily what you should be going towards. Reminder, this is a best of 3. So even if you lose this game, you still got the chance to come back into this series and make that qualification all the way through to the playoffs. But you really don't want to be losing game 1 in a best of 3.
No, absolutely not. It puts a ton of pressure right on your shoulders. It's not like a best of 5 where, hey, it's fine, we've got a couple more games at least to play, we're all good. No. You've got to be finding it right now. Interesting luck spam right here. Cube did not have a great time on it in the previous time that we saw them, yet still going to be banned away, not interested in dealing with that. Fiora too. Lots of bans towards the top lane. That's kind of been where the most bans have sat, actually. Always towards that top side. Both Gentleman Hero and Repulsive, very impressive players. Zaya is going to come off the board, so we will once again get to see a slightly different bot laner from at least one of these guys.
And we're actually going to be seeing a slightly different jungler here for UDL, as they have subbed in Sofian instead of Hyacin. So going to be really intriguing to see how that impacts the way that they go through this draft. Like you were mentioning, it's mostly a few of these sort of like pocket picks that have been targeted in the first phase of bans. And no surprise that Jinx is being highly prioritized. It was the pick that Matthew played in their loss to YNZ, and it was the pick that Kasimi played in that massive victory in the previous game.
It was indeed. Jinx has been that premier pick, and once it comes online, oh boy, you gotta be pretty nervy about it. The Jinx often is matched up into the Aphelios, and so I wonder if we're gonna see the same kind of support. So we're gonna see another Milio versus Lulu matchup. Both of them adding a lot to their respective champions. Aphelios, Milio specifically, you get so much healing and so much ability to just survive for longer, but another thing you can certainly pair it up with is that Thresh. It gives you a lot of survivability and some great engage.
Yeah, and it's an absolute classic pairing with the Aphelios because he kind of just covers all of the weaknesses that Aphelios has, but also helps augment his strengths. Aphelios can provide a little bit of CC in the bot lane. Thresh helps with that with the Death Sentence and the Flay. Aphelios doesn't have a dash in his kit. Well, hey, you've got that Lantern, which can drag you out of danger from a million miles away. And I feel like KIT might be trying to give UDL some PTSD with this Bel'Veth. We saw how that nearly was able to knock them out of the entire competition in the last game.
It was indeed, and Bel'Veth plus Hook Champion is incredibly strong too. It's not quite the same Hook Champion, obviously it's going to be the Nautilus rather than that Blitzcrank, but still gives you a lot of high priority. Plus, Jinx Nautilus, it is the sort of bot lane that can just roam around, you know, you don't necessarily have to stay down in that lane. It's going to be this Vi Force Sophane though. Really interesting pickup. We've seen a ton of it so far today because it gives you so much utility. Once you hit that level 6, you can gank people on repeat and pretty much guarantee yourself at least a flash, if not the kill.
Yeah, and obviously when you are playing up with an Aphelios, that is building into that identity even further, right? You've got so much pick, you've got so much aggressive play, and Matthew kind of got bullied a little bit in KIT's loss, and so UDL are kind of focusing down on potentially one of the weak points for KIT. Of course, Matthew could have just been an off day. He's warmed up his hands a little bit and could come out with a massive carry performance on this ADC.
Certainly. So bans Jinx and the Sylas coming off of the board right now. We're still looking to pick up our top laners and our mid laners. Back to the basics where you see those two being the final pickups. Interesting to see who on UDL is going to get that counter pick. Do you want it up in the top lane versus Gentleman Hero? Would you rather it be in the mid lane versus Redeemed? Both of those champions very scary. It's not as if that's a good pick either way. Kennen also off the board, so mainly going to focus towards the top side right here for UDL.
Yeah, and I want to see what goes on with Yone in this draft because Redeemed has played it, and Jangjit has played it both games that we've actually seen from him on stream. And when you are going up against these hyper carries, it can provide a lot of reliable backline access that can help deal with them. Not going to be seeing it yet, though. Actually going to be the Lee Sin. Are we getting a Lee Sin mid?
I think we might be. Okay, I like this. I like the look of this a lot. Lee Sin is a little bit better at going into lanes than the Vi, and so that's what you kind of expect, although technically Vi can play top lane. Interesting to see how this all shakes out. All of a sudden, as Kit, you are a little bit confused. You've got to find something out of nowhere, pretty much. Set up in the top lane, gonna be plenty tanky and gives you a decent matchup into most champions, to be honest. He's pretty happy if it is the Lee Sin up towards the top side or the Vi potentially. So what are you going to take into the mid lane potentially versus a Lee Sin?
I mean, it's a difficult question, right? I think the set makes a lot of sense here for Gentleman Hero. Whilst it isn't a pure carry, it can have a bit more agency in terms of that laning phase, like you mentioned. And because Gentleman Hero is a good player, he can leverage that. Syndra, really been a strong pick here on the day. Not surprised to see it picked up.
Absolutely not. It seems to slip through the ban phase pretty much every single time, despite the fact it is such a strong pickup. With this Victor hover, that makes me think that it is indeed going to be a Lee Sin into the top lane. I think the Lee Sin has a better matchup into the set than into the Syndra, so it makes a lot of sense. And what a wild first pick. You're coming up against two-time champions of the University Esports Masters, a team who made it all the way to the quarterfinals last year. And in the first game you play versus them in a best of 3, you pick Lee Sin top. Okay, I love it.
Well, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see the gameplay.
I love the idea behind it. Whether or not it's good in practice is kind of anybody's guess.
The concept of a Lee Sin top. I mean, it's very, very cool. And obviously the champion has a lot of strength, especially in the early stages. Having access to 2 abilities on each of his abilities seems kind of strange to me, but it gives you a bit more of that early power, and you need that when you're going up against a set who is one of these brawlers that can dominate the early game.
He really can do. I mean, all across the board, we've got bullies around the map. These junglers are going to have their work cut out for them because all of a sudden we're not in a situation where we've got 2 tanks in the top lane who are just going to sit there and look at each other. We're not in a situation where it's a Karma mid. Well, that's not going to be particularly interesting. No. Sure, Syndra and Victor, they're scaling carries. They're control mages who just want to get into the late game, but that doesn't mean that they can't kill each other. They definitely can, especially once you hit that level 6. That unleashed power out of a Syndra is incredibly strong. Same, though, with that ultimate out of the Victor. And then bot lane, obviously you need to be putting some attention down there because that's been the main carry of the entire game. Do you think Matthew can step up and carry for you? Are you worried about that? Can Cassine? These junglers really are going to have to be everywhere at once, and obviously they can't be, so where they do focus their time is going to be of real importance.
Yeah, I think maximizing efficiency is going to be very, very important here. While Striker is going to be playing the Bel'Veth, and we've seen that he can do pretty well in carrying, even on champions that we don't necessarily consider traditional carries. You need to get this Jinx into a decent spot. You need to get this Syndra into a decent spot for them to provide a load of damage. And yeah, I like that we're talking about the bot lanes because we've not got two enchanters alongside these AD carries. We've got hook champs. We've got the potential to get kills within the laning phase.
Yeah, we really do, and why not? We'd usually see Jinx paired up with something like an enchanter, something that gives her a little bit of extra attack speed perhaps, but not is the engage. All of a sudden, when you have got something like a Nautilus plus a Jinx, there is a lot of ability to get some kills right there. The ability to stun lock somebody is very strong. You hit the hook, all of a sudden you put down those Jinx traps beneath their feet, you hold your auto attack for a second until they come out of it, then auto them, they're still stunned up. Hey, you can even throw in a depth charge if you really want to make them hate their life. It's a great way to be able to just pick up nice, quick, easy kills.
And KIT will be hoping for that.
Something's happening.
In our final series of the game, we are going to be getting our first level 1 repulsive.
They're just going to spot it though. No.
Yeah, it was gonna spot out the entire play, and KIT, it was a nice attempt, but they will just return back to their own jungle. Actually, UDL might use this as an opportunity to get a little bit of vision into the bottom side and try and work out where Striker's starting.
As I say, in a best of 3, you're less scared. This is the first game. If you lose this one, sure, it sucks, but you have another chance. Best of 1s are so terrifying to try and make anything happen with the early game. Interesting that Yumi... Everybody's moving around. Nobody quite trusts to just sit in a bush right now. It's not quite a blitzcrank, but still hook champions are brilliant at early level 1 plays, but everything fizzles out, and we will just go back to basic lane assignments.
Yeah, and I suppose something a little bit interesting here in terms of AD carry items. Now, if you don't know, Doran's Blade, traditionally the item that you go towards on an AD carry if you think you're going to be alling in. Cull, the item that you go on an AD carry if you don't think that you're going to be fighting. Very different ideas of how this lane is going to play out, you would assume, coming through from both these AD carries.
Yeah, very different, and it makes sense. Sure, Jinx is the kind of champion that can sit back and scale better than almost anybody. Once she gets excited in the late game, that spells doom for the opponents. However, you've paired it up with the Nautilus, and Nautilus wants to go. Sure, he's good in the late game, but no, he wants to be getting very aggressive during the early stages of the game. Whereas the Thresh, with the hooks, can get aggressive, but is much happier to just sit back, use the lanterns as a defensive tool, and absorb pressure. The cull means that we are not expecting too much aggression out of UDL, but top lane.
Repulsive has got a level advantage onto Gentleman Heroes, getting flash for one more. Also takes out the set.
Oh, and we already get to see this Lee Sin in the top lane working out just fine, taking it right to the very edge, and is going to have to insta-base, so not going to miss out on too much is Gentleman Hero, but still, that's 400 gold into Repulsive's back pocket.
Yeah, and when the 1v1s are as close as that, every little bit of HP and damage that you've got is crucial. You saw there Repulsive thinking, do I go Ruby Crystal or do I go Longsword? And decides probably with the more fun option.
Yeah, most certainly. Why not keep getting aggressive? You can see if you can pick up another kill onto Gentleman Hero as well. One of those top players that we have in University Esports, a name that a lot of people will recognize. Striker recognizes that there's an issue up here and is coming along to try make a gank happen. Gonna be spotted.
Yeah, Repulsive looking for the wall, but he's gonna run straight into the Queen of the Void. And the Lee Sin has got high mobility when he's got access to everything, but he's got access to absolutely nothing right now. First kill of the game for KIT.
Gonna go down very, very quickly right here. As UDL just keep the pressure up. Don't want to be falling behind in any of these lanes. For right now, this top lane is looking pretty even, to be honest. Both of these champions can deal a lot of damage, but Striker perfectly happy to have picked themselves up another kill. We saw in the previous game just how strong an AD carry can be. Kit saw just how much it could do versus UDL as well. They're hoping to just have a slightly different outcome at the end of the game.
I think crucially, though, for the next few minutes is that because Repulsive was sort of sent back to Fountain, he's actually up pretty significantly in terms of effective itemization against Gentleman Hero and Redeemed. It's got to be very, very careful in the mid lane. Sofian able to use this pressure to steal away the Raptors.
Yeah, just going to keep up this pressure right here. Kit, they like to play a little bit calmer during the early stages of the game. You can see it with the way that they're not getting too aggressive through the jungle, just taking the ganks that are well presented. Repulsive is once again very pushed up and about to get ganked.
Oh dear, here comes Striker once again as Sofian maybe thinking about killing someone in the bot lane, but spoiler alert, there is no one under that tower. Under this tower is Repulsive, getting a kill onto Gentleman Hero. Will get traded back.
So, manages to pick up a kill, but still, this is the way that it's going. Repulsive manages to kill Gentleman Hero, and Striker arrives to soak up the rest of the damage. At this point, though, I'd be pretty worried about running into this Bel'Veth. Up a huge amount of CS, up 2 kills as well. Sofian has been trying to get something done, but as of yet, not managed to do so.
Yeah, and what we were talking about in Champions, like, right, efficiency. In a game like this, every gank that you make needs to count, and Striker has been very, very efficient. Not only is he up CS, but he's got those couple of kills. He is so far ahead of Sofian in gold right now.
He really is just sitting pretty and has not gone back to base yet, continuing to get even more gold. This is going to be a huge first base. Look at him nicking away multiple camps too. Sofian has gone down towards the bot side, so won't even spot this one out.
Gentleman Hero pulling back Repulsive, getting that safeguard out of the Lee Sin, so will not have a ward hop available, but recognizes that there's too much fighting going on. Zanzi popping Chaos Storm in the mid lane, Redeemed flashing away just to make sure he's not going to go down, but this Lee Sin is about to be in a whole world of hurt. As in the bot lane, we've got even more hurt going on to Kasimi. The flash lantern will keep him alive, and Kyube going to be caught out and sacrificed to the Aphelios.
Getting a little bit too aggressive right there, dive in the top lane.
Repulsive. Gentleman Hero actually going to be taking up the tank, starting it off with the Showstopper and Striker on a killing spree. His third kill of the game, the third kill onto Repulsive, who is really not enjoying his Lee Sin adventure.
That was an incredibly well-played dive, taking up the early tower aggro for Gentleman Hero, using the ultimate to get himself back out of dodge. W fully stacked up because of the amount of damage he'd been doing. Haymaker lands for an absolute ton of damage, and they pick up that kill, but because your Bel'Veth has shown up in the top lane, gonna be a quick pickup of the Drake down towards the bottom side. Redeemed very low here.
Ooh.
You may.
You saw what Hall was doing there. It's like, I see a Syndra, I want to go for this. Scout of the week, not going to come through. Kirby, you are currently on a ward. Going to Hex Flash away, and this is another Raptor still coming through from Sofian. Second time that he's attempted to ingress onto that camp, but once again, it's Striker who is building up the CS differential in terms of these junglers. And we haven't really talked about bot lane too much because of how much action has been going on the top side of the Rift, but Kasimi is building up quite a substantial lead up against Matthew.
You highlighted this specifically during the break, but also at the start of this game. Matthew did not have a good time when we saw him versus Yeno Mizla, and once again, not having a great time here. Ends up not going down, but is down a decent chunk of CS, and his opposition has gotten a kill onto his support, so need to be pretty careful that Matthew doesn't fall any further behind. We have, however, seen that the Jinx can come back in games, even if she falls behind during the early stages.
You just need one kill. You get that, get excited, you can make some horrible things happen. Striker taking that lead from the top lane and moving it down to the bottom half of the Rift, grabbing a kill for his ADC.
There we go, that's the singular kill that you need to be able to get yourself back into this game. Sure, you're still down 20 CS, which is not great, but at least things are beginning to happen. Striker is down here.
Yeah, but Sofian is as well, and Kyube is going to feed another kill over to Kasimi, and just when it started to look a little bit better, it starts looking a little bit worse.
Yeah, once again, gonna be going down. Very unfortunate. Big fighting in the top lane.
Oh, Repulsive. He's gonna get hit with all that true damage. The Dragon's Rage kick will stop Gentleman Hero from getting that last crucial auto onto the Lee Sin, but this pick, it's just not working.
Nope, it looked like it was gonna be okay when he got that initial solo kill, but stuck around way too long. Gave himself far too many options for Striker to just get in there, pick up a couple kills. All of a sudden, he's fed the Bel'Veth. He's gotten himself in a bad situation, and this is the result of that.
Oh, Striker's quite good at jungle, is he not? Horn not going to be able to catch out Cayube, and for UDL, they've been in worse situations than this, but KIT are a different sort of beast, and they can take an early game lead and really snowball it, and they importantly have the comp to do so.
Really can, and Striker was the main carry, the bright star, the shining beacon of hope last time that we saw Kit. Didn't quite manage to make his team win out, but this one's going much better as a whole team proposition. Makes me worry quite a lot for UDL. Another dive top.
Repulsive dodging away there from the sun, is going to flash back under the tower, still gets hit by the haymaker, and there's no way out. Redeemed killing him off there with the unleashed power, and Sofian was just shooting topside to try and protect his top laner, but he will not be successful. And the shifts in pressure, the different prioritizations coming out from both these teams, heavily favoring the squad from Germany as it stands.
Certainly is. Zangside has gone down towards this bottom side. Hang on.
Oh, Horny took aggro. He's locked under the tower. Matthew with his second kill of the game. Cassini opening up with the guns. What? What?
Oh my god, Cassini, this man is a beast!
My guy just shot the entire Call of Duty gun arsenal at Matthew. Didn't have time to flash or even ghost away. 4 kills on Aphelios is a horrible prospect to deal with. Redeemed, dead as well. And it keeps happening. UDL, as soon as we start to count them out, they find a way of pulling us right back in.
Oh, you could see the idea in Matthew's head. Oh, I got a first kill. I've gotten excited. Let's keep going. Nope, nope, nope. Kazemi manages to just turn that one around. Oh, the amount of damage that you're able to do. Striker going forwards with this Rift Herald is getting a little bit flanked, though.
Yeah, Sofian not going to be able to find the
care.
whole break.
Doesn't
What?
care.
He's getting one shots. There's way too much damage in League of Legends right now. We're going to need another durability patch at this rate. Horn getting the pullback onto Striker. He's going to get locked down with the gravitum. The flash, the stun from Redeemed to Matthew getting another kill. Zhangjid and Horn alone under the tower. Cayube gonna get hooked, gonna get pulled in. The flashback away from Horn to try and interrupt the dive. Potential coming through, but Matthew will be the beneficiary of yet another kill. Zhangjid is able to kill off Redeemed, and the Nautilus somehow stays alive. KIT are just that little bit better.
Matthew playing that one incredibly well, finally managing to get a couple of kills into his back pocket. 5-1-0 now, all of a sudden, off of what was a pretty bad early game, still down 30 CS. And I loved during that dive that Redeemed went to step away from the turret, knew he was dead anyway, and just walked back under, kept himself in that fight, dealt plenty of damage, and giving kills over to Matthew onto this Jinx. Gentleman Hero, he's quite far under.
Very aggressive showstopper actually to disengage and able to walk it out.
So, Kasimi's insane. At the same time, so is Striker, and all of a sudden Matthew's gotten back into this game. Overall, I think Kit are in a much nicer position than UDL, as is shown by that 5k gold lead that they found themselves in, but there is still the ability to find ways into these team fights as long as you allow Kasimi to lay the damage down. If he gets hit by any piece of CC though, it's good night.
I think this is the thing that UDL are going to have to sort of cope with now. Striker and Matthew are at such strong positions of power, but if you can fight away from them, or maybe even if you could just have a 3-level difference on them when you're going for an all-in the mid lane, Zangzid trading summoner spells with that Jinx. That flash could be massive, missing out on that one. The alley-oop into the dunk. Sofian with the easiest kill of his life.
Yeah, that one's nice and cleanly done. There's say not a lot that you can do about that one. It's a great little combo, can work onto either Redeemed or Matthew, both of them squishy enough, but that was a very isolated Redeemed. Not having the best game for himself right now doesn't really matter, not when Striker and Matthew have begun to pop off. Next big objective is in 3 minutes 40 seconds, going to be a Drake. Not got the Baron for 7 minutes, there will be a Rift Herald soon though.
And this is why we were so hyped on KIT, right? Despite their loss to YNZ, there was elements of this. We could see it coming through, and whilst Matthew has had a really rough time in the laning phase, he's still down 30 CS. Once the Jinx hit that mid-game stage, once she can start team fighting, that matters less and less. It's all about the items that you're on right now, and these ADCs are basically at parity.
They really are. KSC White, they are such a storied organization. They know what to do in these kind of big games, big moments. Win right here, and you manage to get yourself into those playoffs. Lose, and you are done for the day. Best of 3, so we have a couple chances. And Kit, they've put themselves in a nice position to hopefully go 1-up in this series. As for UDL, they still have ways to fight back. It relies on some very nicely hit hooks, some great alley-oops into dunks out of Repulsive and Sofan. To be fair, Zangside still does do a lot of damage, let's say, with those Chaos Storms.
Yeah, the Victor champion is still the Victor champion, and
Indeed.
UDL, they have made a habit today of winning games from positions that they really, really shouldn't. So this gold lead for KIT is big, but it's by no means decisive. We've still got a load of structures still standing on the map here for UDL, but less than KIT have got in their back pocket. Still, all the towers available for them. So these aggressive plays they want to go for are a little bit easier to make. Horde being caught out. The Unleashed power is going to take him low, and Matthew is going to take him down. A rampage kill for this Jinx, and now the mid lane tower is going to open up as well.
Is going to be very wide open. See if it's actually going to go down. Matthew does a ton to turret. Sofan arrives just to try to keep it alive for a little bit longer. Does not end up working out. Oh, nice dodge.
Oh, the gale force forward, the flash forward. Oh my word! Kasimi is an absolute sociopath in terms of the damage, in terms of the plays that he is making. And UDL get 2 picks out of nowhere.
The way that Kazemi is playing this one right now is just ridiculous. Every single ability that this man lands deals just more damage than the opposition have health. It results in very good outcomes for UDL. And sure, they may have been down 5k gold, but they're only down 3k. And now they're only down by about 2,000 gold. That's not very much at 15 minutes into the game. Striker, that's aggressive, bud.
It's going to get caught with the cease and desist. The flash hook from Horn as well. A shutdown for Repulsive. And it's 5 minutes earlier than last game, but UDL are doing it redeemed. Caught out on the side lane. No splash for Zhangxi, so the kill is not going to be a possibility. But we are 12-12. Only a 1,000 gold difference.
Maybe UDL just like comebacks at this point. Maybe this is just the way that they want to play the game. Lose out in the early game and claw your way back, fight tooth and nail. Gentleman Hero surrounded by enemies, not too worried though. So, 16.5 minutes into the game, first items all completed. A second item has been finished for both Kasimi and Striker. For the most part, champions only sat on one and not particularly powerful at that.
And I really like that it is going to be the Bloodthirster as opposed to something like the Infinity Edge. Kasimi recognizes that there is a load of threats coming onto him. He also recognizes that he needs to stay alive in these fights if UDL are going to be able to win out. Dragon spawning second at the game for whoever picks it up, and at the moment it looks like it's going to be UDL.
Yes, it is going to be. They're going to pick themselves up a second Drake right now. Drakes really have not been high priority. They were during the early stages of this tournament, but as of right now, most teams decided that they aren't particularly useful. Ultimate coming through.
Repulsive getting the kick and the flash away. Just moving into this top lane to prevent KIT from getting a tower whilst UDL invest their resources into the Drake, but needs to be careful here. No flash, no ult. Kobe is here as well. We could see a dive.
Certainly could do. Repulsive needs to be careful. Lee's pretty good at getting away from situations like this, but he is very surrounded at this point. Redeemed, oh boy.
Yeah, Zhangxi feeling himself, reckons he can go for the 1v1, drops every single piece of damage on the head of the Syndra, picks up a solo kill, and KIT, they decide against going for the play. Here comes the Super Mega Death Rockets!
Oh, step back! Those
fancy metal
times.
feed on the Victor.
Yeah, very, very nice right there. Otherwise, it would have been another big kill into Matthew's pocket. Not who you wanted to give that much shutdown gold to. Gonna pick up a turret as well, and at this point, Zangside is dealing mad damage, and we saw what he could do previously on the Yone. Very different champions, Yone and Victor, but same way of just blasting straight through people.
And take a look at the top of your screen. We've got 2 Drakes for UDL in favor of KIT's 1. We've got 13 kills for UDL in favor of KIT's 12. we have got a gold lead. Very small, but a gold lead nonetheless for UDL. And I'm not going to lie, Bloxer, it doesn't feel like the team from France were 5,000 gold behind just a few minutes ago.
It absolutely doesn't. At this point, everything is on a knife's edge. You'd think that they'd been this equal all along, but no, UDL have fought and clawed their way back into this big fight mid.
Oh, Striker catching out Kasimi, and that Bloodthirster is going to do nothing to prevent the Aphelios from going down, and now the Beth is well and truly going to be able to take over the fight. That's 2 kills coming through for KIT, and UDL are a little bit far up. Hook connecting onto Striker, but he's got that death stance. He's going to be able to persist, but not for long enough. His Horn is able to take him down. Now, Gentleman Hero going to be providing a load of damage, but Zhangjin is the target you need to be getting on top of. This Victor can absolutely tear open the team fight, but he's not really having the opportunity to, as Repulsive is desperately fighting tooth and nail to get a kill back, but he will get shut down by Matthew.
And that's a huge turnaround right there for KIT. They needed that. They sure did lose a mid lane turret for it, and a couple of members too. Even in a fight like that where it looks so good for KIT SC White, they still don't manage to just take a convincing victory. Just barely scraped by for one. It looked like it could have been even better, but Striker unfortunately got caught out by a hook by Horn. Everything is so close, but that was more gold into Matthew's pocket, and that's the way that you need to win these fights for KIT. Kill Kasimi first, then think about anything else.
Yeah, but then you look on the other side, and with Striker going down, there were moments in that team fight where it felt like UDL would be able to take over. Those two champions really are linchpins of their roster right now, but Zhangjin also coming through, getting closer and closer to the second item on this Victor Redeemed, also building up his power base as well. These mages are starting to come into their own.
Yeah, gonna be dealing just, well, you don't particularly want to get near either of them. The burst damage that can come out of Redeemed. Whereas Zhang's side, any big team fight where there's a lot of members stood on top of each other, that Chaos Storm is going to be dealing that level of background damage that means that you can't really sit in these team fights for too long. You can't get too bunched up, otherwise you're just going to get shredded down slowly but surely.
KIT showing very little fear, if none at all. Striker going to be called out by Repulsive, jumped onto the cease and desist from Sofian. They know they need to kill this Belveth, and they will be successful. With her off the board, there's a chance, but Matthew will get one back with a Super Mega Death Rocket.
That was really well played by Matthew. It was the full unleashed power going straight onto Sofian, managing to pick up that kill, and it was crucial because otherwise that would have been Baron on the cards 100%. Instead, both junglers are dead, so objectives are less likely to be started up. Next Drake stuff spawning in 40 seconds. Baron is available, so you're now in a situation where, did UDL want to get themselves onto Soul Point? Does KIT want to pick themselves up another Drake? Or is it all Baron all the way?
Well, Baron has been the bane of a couple of our teams. Redeemed taking a fair bit of chunk damage. Kasimi, oh my word! He just gale forces in! What is he doing? How is he doing it? He shut up the Aphelios! He's going to be able to take out Kyube as well! This man at ADC is a game winner. He is a different sort of League of Legends player. Gentleman Hero will finally be able to cut him down, but there are very, very dirty things being done in this game.
4 quick kills for KIT. They're against KIT. All of a sudden, UDL are in a great spot. They're going to be able to turn straight onto the Baron. And I thought Kasimi was in a bad spot. I was like, oh no, this one poor Aphelios surrounded by multiple members. No, 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 no. Once you have that crescendo, once you have got that Gravitum, you just shred through people almost immediately. Teleport's coming down, trying to get back involved, but I don't know what's going to be done.
Striker approaches the Baron pit, but is going to get caught out. Horn gets the kill, but I don't think you really mind who that goes on to. Crucially, though, it's KIT delaying this Baron. It's Kasimi having to run all the way from base to join his squad. And this Aphelios is crucial for success. Horn getting the pick down onto Redeemed. The Chaos Storm burning through the Syndra's health bar. The Depth Times is going to come through onto Zhangjin. Kyube searching for his opposite number support on the backline as Repulsive is just buying time. Kicking away Matthew, going forward onto him with a resonating strike. And now caught in a 1v1 versus Gentleman Hero. But Zhangjin is going to be here to bail out his boy. A load of true damage being dropped down for the Haymaker. But the Lee Sin, he's not dying. The Lee Sin isn't dying. It's an ace for UDL.
1 year ago, I sat and watched as Kit SC White, 2-time defending champions, lost to AGH, and it felt monumental. We may be on the precipice of watching Kit SC White 1 year later lose during the last chance qualifier to UDL of France. It once again feels monumental. The way that this team is playing, not the early game, sure, but the mid to late game is so well done. And Kasimi is carrying them as far forward as he can.
I'm speechless, genuinely. But for KIT, this game is not done. Yes, they are down, but one team in this game has been down by 5,000 gold before, and look at them now, wearing purple, a royal march towards KIT. There are still so far for UDL to go. They haven't even broken this line of inner towers, but with Kasimi at 3 items, he is a tower-taking machine. UDL grouping up in the bottom lane.
Severum Crescendum, you really don't want to get near this Aphelios right now. It will just shred straight through you. Instead, turrets are going to be the ones to fall. Cube.
Oh, he's been caught out. He's going to flash away from his base. Doesn't matter. Kasimi takes him out. We're seeing a double push in the top side from Gentleman Hero and Striker, but they need to get back to their base. Otherwise, they could be right falling here. Down. Horn going forward with the Hex Flash.
So risky right here. Still Striker up towards the top side of the map, just trying to get anything back for his team. I guess a saving grace right now is that neither of these teams have particularly picked up Drakes, and so sure, UDL will be able to just walk into the pit and pick this one up if they want to, but it doesn't mean that much, not yet.
Well, it looks like they're just completely eschewing any idea at playing onto that Drake. They recognize they've only got a minute left on this Baron, and they want to get absolutely as much as they can. The minion wave, not particularly sizable in the mid lane, but Horn, once again with a Hex Flash, every time he charges that up, you have to feel that something incredible is going to be coming out. Repulsive is recalled to deal with Striker and try and interrupt the Velvet. That's a hook connecting onto Redeemed. He's going to go into that zone. Uses Gentleman Hero with the Showstopper onto the backline, fighting up with Kasimi. It's a 1-for-1. Both AD carries have already gotten a kill, but Matthew has to escape, and he just can't. Kasimi with a quadra kill.
I'm on
and Striker.
The Velvet's up.
He has to try and save the game. He has to try and save the game, but he can't. It's just not possible. He's just out Kasimi, but the rest of UDL will wipe him off Summoner's Rift. And game one, UDL, they do it once again. They come back, put themselves to match point. One Nexus explosion from UEM playoffs.
5k gold deficit, 8k gold deficit. It does not matter. This team, I'm gonna say it right now, sucks in the early game. However, they are possibly the best that we have during the later stages of the game. The way that they play around each other in these team fights is so impressive. I don't know what you can possibly give to Kasimi that he doesn't run through you on.
The game was over. Surely KIT, with a 5,000 gold lead, barely a few minutes into the game, surely that's enough to take it through. But UDL, I don't know. They had like 3 Weetabix this morning, and they've got really good gaming chairs.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only conclusion that I can draw for us.
Weetabix with 5-hour energy is the kind of way that these guys are playing. And I wish that they played a nicer early game, because I worry for this team going forward. But if it works, right?
I don't care if they are gonna give me heart palpitations every time they get onto the Rift and end the game like that. I do not mind it at all. I believe we are going to a break production. I'm really sorry, I haven't been reading the document because I've just been completely absorbed what I've been seeing on our screen. Bloxer, I need a breather.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs a breather. We'll see you in a few minutes. No, we won't. We're still here. Oh my word. I mean, but genuinely, okay, let's try and do some analysis though, because we've seen an incredible game there. But if you're KIT, I feel like you did everything right. You got a matchup for Gentleman Hero that was winning. You got Striker to an insanely accelerated pace, and you put Matthew in a position on this Jinx where I thought he was going to be able to deal with it, but
no.
Kasimi hands dips. How do you deal with that?
I'm not sure. I think part of the issue is that Belveth doesn't scale that well into the late game, has a real strong power spike in the middle stages of the game, then just doesn't quite manage to continue on. Matthew has not been having a great day so far. I worry very much about him in the next game too. And Kasimi, what can you put him on? Very clearly not the Aphelios, but also if you don't want to put someone on the Aphelios, you probably don't want them on the Jinx either. Maybe also not on the Xayah, and so you putting 3 bans into the bot lane, then you leave everything wide open. That is not what you want to do either, and so the ability for UDL to just play around Kasimi makes this draft phase incredibly difficult.
Yes, it does. We will see you in a few minutes. Oh my god.
Caution, content's hot. 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 You got to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot. You got to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot. You get to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot. You get to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot. You get to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot.
Well, in that early game, KIT SC White did everything right. You got a matchup for Gentleman Hero he could leverage. You got Striker fed. You even got a load of kills onto Matthew on that Jinx. But it is simply not enough. Kasimi, the French Guma Yushi,
Oh, yeah.
completely taking over, and UDL are one game away from University Esports Masters playoffs.
What a performance it has been out of this team. UDL, one of those top teams in France. We thought of them last year, but they were not playing like this. Kasimi just playing out of his mind. And what did Kit do? What do you do when your early game is that good and just one slight misstep and instantly you lose every bit of lead that you've made for yourselves? It was a 5k gold lead. That is a ridiculous lead to overcome, and they managed it, and it didn't even look that difficult.
And as many props as we're going to give to Kasimi, and honestly, it feels like we can barely give him enough. There are 5 players on this UDL squad. Horn had some amazing hooks in that game, and some of the Vi engages were absolutely exceptional. Zhangjid on the Victor dealt so much damage. Honestly, for KIT, you need to throw something crazy out there. Striker needs to find another level of performance, because as good as he's played, as strong of a player as he is, it's not been enough so far. We are jumping into Champion Select for potentially the final time if KIT cannot pull it back.
They really need to, otherwise we're going to see Germany's top dog, most dominant team in University Esports Masters history go out in the last chance qualifier. An embarrassment for this team who has been so good in the past. The bans we're seeing, pretty much the same. Fioras, Luxes, Kane's coming off of the board. Not expecting too much to be different, other than potentially UDL, maybe they don't get the Aphelios, just an idea.
I mean, but this is one of the things that we were discussing during the break. It's like Kasimi has shown himself to be incredible on the Jinx. He's shown himself to be incredible on the Aphelios. And hey, if he ends up pulling out Obzeri, I'm sure he's going to be doing absolutely disgusting things on it there. So I think KIT, I think this is good. They're sticking to their guns. They're going, our bans were good. We change our gameplay. We won that early game, but this B1 shouldn't be a surprise to anyone.
Yeah, you've got to expect, though, that Kit knew this was coming. When they did not ban it away, they knew it was going to happen. So what do you have to deal with this Aphelios? Do you want to go try match it again? Do you think maybe you just played the Jinx matchup a little bit wrong? Or do you change it all up? We've seen how the Ezreal can do into it. It's not too bad. No, instead, it is just going to be Matthew saying, my bad, I can do better this time. Picks up the Jinx again. Going to be paired with another Nautilus? Yes, it is. Okay, running it back. That's a risk right there.
Yeah, but I feel like in this situation, when you lose a game like that, I think if you change too much, that's going to kick your confidence. Again, you were in a very good position that game. You made a couple of mistakes in the mid game that UDL were able to capitalize on very, very well. I like this Gragas, though, for Repulsive. I think this is going to offer a lot more utility than the Lee Sin was able to in that top lane, despite the fact that actually, outside of that laning phase, he still had a very good time.
Really did. It was a pretty nice game overall. It just was the early couple of stages did not go quite as well. So we can see a lot of different champions being flicked through, and it will be the
Yes.
Kindred. Striker really, really good on this Kindred. It's a signature pick for this man. And it can be very useful versus something that does a lot of sustained damage, say, you know, an Aphelios, where you actually can't end up getting that kill. The ability to jump into that Lamb's Respite and just not die for a while works very well, and it's gonna be something to really play around. However, Striker, we saw how good he was last time on the Belveth, is even more pressure on this Kindred. You've got to get yourself those marks, and if you don't, you're not particularly useful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Getting those marks, getting you that additional range, making it so that once the late game comes, you can actually function as a normal AD carry. But I'm already seeing a couple of issues potentially here for Kit. That explosive cast from the Gragas, a almost generic, almost boring counter to the Kindred in terms of how effective it is at getting enemy champions out of the Lamb's Respite.
Exactly, you're all stood in a nice, well-defined circle. Well, chuck down the explosive cast. Exactly what you would like to do. Also, the fact that the Gragas can be moved around, still flexible. We expect it to be in the top lane, doesn't have to be. And the new builds that it has as well, that Rod of Ages build does a ridiculous amount of damage and also is still, for some reason, quite tanky. So, going to be really interesting to see what the pick is into it. We've got ourselves the jungle and the bot lane. You're going to be able to counterpick either your mid laner or your top. So, what is the decision right here out of Kit?
I think you have to keep the counter pick for Redeemed almost. I feel like he's been performing very, very well. Kale, the gentleman hero.
Can I just say, Kale scales, Jinx scales, Kindred scales. This is the attempt from Kit to not get outplayed in the late game.
I mean, absolutely going for it. And obviously another champion that can provide a little bit of invulnerability. So makes it harder to get those kills, wipe those members off the board. And if you've got a Jinx with 3 items, with that Divine Judgment on top of her, she can absolutely rain Hellfire if it's not the Kale doing it herself.
Let's just get a zillion in this game, why not? People shouldn't die at this point. Nobody is allowed to actually die. Vi is going to be the pickup right here for Sofen. It's been a top pick for a reason. And that Jax is good into Kale. Jax is good into Jinx. Jax is good into Kindred. I mean, this is a great pickup right here.
Yeah, and Repulsive, he's had a couple of missteps in the early game, but as it gets later and later on, he feels so much more comfortable on whatever he's playing, and it does mean that we are going to be seeing this Gragas shifted down, most likely into the mid lane, saving the counter pick here for Redeemed. It's going to be picking up the Cassiopeia KIT. There is a lot of damage on this squad, but there is very little else.
It unlocks much, much later into the game as well. I mean, Cassio into the Gragas, it's a pretty good matchup. You can deal a lot of damage. It's great for anti-dive as well. The Jax, the Vi, they're going to want to go jumping in. You can stop that pretty easily with both the Petrifying Gaze as well as that Miasma on the floor. I like the pickup quite a lot, but the lack of true tank, Cube is not going to be that tanky, especially not when he's trying to stand up against Casimir. Oh, this is risky. Kit have decided to absolutely throw down the gauntlet right here, and there's a lot of good counters, unfortunately, on UDL.
I feel like the plan here from KIT is we had a good early game.
Yeah.
Maybe the picks we have don't necessarily affect that as much, and if we can still come out of the early game with maybe not a 5k gold lead, but even a 2k gold lead at this point, you've got enough strength inherent in the champions that you can make it work. But it's a risk, and it is a risk being made in an elimination game. If they lose, gone out, goodbye.
No more Kit SC White. No more that top German team. What a moment it would be to watch them get knocked out right here, right now. UDL showing us why they've managed to fight their way through that lower bracket. Oh, Kit, though, they're going to be fighting like there's no tomorrow because there truly isn't in this scenario.
As we are jumping on to Summoner's Rift. Potentially the final time today. UDL 1 win away from taking down KIT, and of course, we started off with a pause.
All right, we've got just a little bit of lag issues right now, so we'll get that resolved. Obviously, in this elimination game, we would like everybody to be sat at just peak performance. Don't want it to be a technical issue that results in one of these teams making it through and the other getting knocked out. So while we're in that pause, get a little bit more time to talk about all of these matchups. Mid lane should be pretty explosive. Top lane potentially too, though. Kale sucks. Really sucks during the early game. Barely a champion. Very squishy. Very gankable. However, once you hit that level 6, a little bit stronger. Level 11, stronger still. Level 16, all of a sudden, Gentleman Hero can just shred every single member of UDL.
KIT grouping as 5. It's topside jungle. Trying to spot out a potential move from UDL, but they will back away as Sofian and Repulsive move forward. I'm really worried for this topside 3v3 for KIT. There's just no real CC.
No.
There's no real damage until we get a little bit later either.
Striker's not looking to PvP. He's looking to PvE for those marks. There's no real ability for him to gank most of these lanes. Maybe the bot lane? Maybe? But for the most part, I think it's just farm up, try not to die, and see if you can survive long enough. Whereas Sofan, it's really on him to get this game going. If he can get kills onto a couple of different champions, all of a sudden his team's in a great spot to win the game before this kit composition comes online.
But if this kit composition is allowed to come online, then it's going to be very, very scary. And Striker had a great performance on the Belveth last game, and the Kindred is another one of his signature picks. Interesting to see that he's actually marked out the Visor, wants to go hunting for Sofian in the early stages.
Yeah, and you can understand why. If you can beat your opposite number, just stop Sofian from being able to gank constantly. It gives you a pretty good scenario where the rest of your team is actually able to just sit back and relax. You can see Gentleman Hero already getting jumped on and beat down just a little bit, and that's the way that this matchup is going to go for at least the first 5 levels.
Yeah, and especially once the Jax gets access to Counter-Strike, it's just so difficult for Gentleman Hero to even exist in that lane. Jax deceptively efficient in terms of the early game just because of how strong the stacking attack speed from his passive can be. Wave here being held by UDL. A pretty decent position should Sofian choose to come for a gank, but KIT, they've got a ward just above that Tribrush.
Yeah, making sure that they're going to be able to survive even when pushed in. You can understand the hesitation because there were been a lot of ganks towards the bot side of the map. Vi already cleared all of this bottom side. Now going to be looking potentially down towards the bot side. Is going to go hunting into the opposition jungle. Okay.
Just hanging off vision. Horn
they know what's
moving
happening.
up as UDL were able to get the shove there. Striker will be able to take away his own blue buff, and so Sofian, a little bit of time spent there, not gaining too much, but obviously as the Vi, you want to be getting into these lanes as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you just want to be ganking. Level 6 is where you really come online, but pre then still plenty of damage and CC to be able to lay it down. So, Striker moved up towards this top side, and it is the bottom Scuttle Crab that does spawn that mark. That's pretty devastating for Striker not to be around for that. Repulsive, super low.
Oh, he is going to be able to use that counter-strike, leap strike forward onto Striker, and here comes Sofian, the flash! One more auto would take down the Kindred, but as it stands, going to be Summoner Spells burn, no one dying.
And that counter stance is everything in this matchup versus so many champions who want to auto-attack. The fact that you can just stand there and say no, absolutely not, and then stun them up, so incredibly strong. Repulsive going to use that one to the most of his ability. Interestingly, Sofian gets that Scuttle Crab towards the top side and then doesn't book it down towards the bottom side one to take away that mark. That is really useful for Striker.
Yeah, and you see with KB and Matthew actually getting the shove, should be fairly easy for the Kindred to move in, although saying that, Zhangjid is cheating down into the bottom side river. We could have a potential play coming through here. Horn missing of the death sentence, still going to be able to get the flay off. Hook from Kyube going a little bit wide, and I believe that Striker was able to take away that crab. So first mark secured for the Kindred.
So you need to get yourself up to 4 marks to be able to start unlocking some extra attack damage and some extra attack range. Redeemed.
Zhangjid, low on HP, going to be firing out that Q, but not chasing into the face of a Vi, which is probably a wise decision. Redeemed actually doing pretty decently for himself in terms of CS up against that Gragas. He's going to be able to look for a solo kill. One more auto. First blood for Redeemed.
There we go. Those twin fangs in the early game deal ridiculous amounts of damage, and when you hit that noxious blast every time, you just get to burn through your opposition. It's a terrible matchup for Zhangjid anyway because it's ranged versus melee. And when you're versus a Cassiopeia and you give her over an early kill, it makes things just that little bit worse.
Redeemed has had some very strong performances so far today. They haven't been enough to pick up wins for KIT. But he is in an excellent position right now. Oh no, Zhangjid going forward, the flash away on Snake Lady to keep himself alive, but Kyube spending that summoner spell to get another kill, hopefully, for KIT, but no! Zangzi turns it around, flashes on the cast, will get shut down, but with the kill going over to Kyube, I think he's saying worth.
Yep, that's exactly what you like in that situation. Sure, you're gonna die, you might as well make the most of it. You could see Redeem's idea sitting behind the wall, you know, trying his best to stay as far away as possible. Doesn't quite make it as Gentleman Hero.
He's going to be able to get the ult. He's going under the tower. He gets the solo kill onto Repulsive.
That's not how this matchup is meant to work. Sure, level 6 is a pretty big spike for Gentleman Hero, but to be getting a solo kill at this point in the game, Repulsive messed up very badly.
And look at this. KIT, we said that these carries, they needed to survive the early game. Well, they're doing more than that. We've got a kill onto Gentleman Hero. We've got a kill and an assist onto Redeemed, who is dominating, really, in this mid lane. And we look bot side, Kasimi, Matthew, even on CS.
Yeah, doing really, really well for themselves right here. It is it's a very tense matchup right now. The fact that bot lane is even on CS while the rest of the map is going so far into the favor of Kit is just excellent for them.
And it means that Kasimi isn't getting accelerated. Even if you are trading kills with lots of deaths on the bot lane, that fundamentally means gold going to the Aphelios. That isn't happening. And so this marksman that was so effective in the mid game with aggressive plays to take down the members of KIT, not going to be in a similar point of power. And now Repulsive being marked by Striker, popping out the counter-strike. He needs to get this wave shoved in, otherwise it's going to get frozen on him. Able to leap Strike away, but the stacking damage coming through from the Mounting Dread. A second kill for Gentleman Hero.
And another mark into Striker's back pocket. Brilliant little fight right there. It is going to be the return of the Drake because you've spotted your opposition jungler in the top side, but I'd still say definitely worth for Kit, only losing out on that first Drake and giving more power into Gentleman Hero's back pocket. This man is insane on early game champions, and the fact that he's making it work on one of those true late game hyper carries is very, very impressive.
2-0 now, and that early game hump being crested.
Hang on.
As KIT starting up for a play, they're able to get a hook down onto the Aphelios. He's going to open it up with the Moonlight Vigil. He's got the red-white guns, but he's not able to fight his way out of this one. Matthew getting an assist as Kyube picks up the killers in the mid lane. Redeemed is going to get taken down by Zhangjid. Horn flashing away the hook coming through from Kyube. And he's going to be able to survive this one as well. It's 6-2 in favor of KIT.
Kit's having another great early game, but we've got to be careful. We've seen this one before multiple times, and UDL still managed to come out on top. The fact that Kasimi died down in that bottom side, though, massive. We really are expecting for him to be able to, you know, just pull great games out of wherever he can find them, but not always going to be the case. Matthew showing up, finally. He did not have a great couple games that we've seen him, but proving that he is still one of those top carries.
Oh, and you could see Repulsive getting positively bullied around in the top lane now. And to burn that leap strike just to get out of there. And now with the Jax behind in this matchup, what do if you're the side of UDL? You try and commit a few more resources towards the top lane, but Gentleman Hero should be able to get out of this one just fine.
Still going forwards.
Gonna get flayed back, just trying to dodge away from the death sentence, and shall be successful. Again, a lot of time spent by UDL, not getting much.
No, indeed, you've got Hume up towards this top side of the map, and it means that right now, Kasimi's just having to try his best to survive down in this bottom lane, constantly being threatened with hooks, not really allowed to step up for the most part, and it's not getting a lot of gold into his pockets.
Striker now starting up the Rift Herald, should be able to take this one down. UDL, they were able to get the first dragon of this game, but Rift Herald looks a little bit less likely. Sofian moving over, but the smite is going to go down, and Striker claims the objective.
I'd like to be able to see how many marks this Kindred has. At least 2, probably some... Okay, just 2 at the moment.
Exactly 2.
Still just waiting on a couple more.
Redeemed's going to get thrown into so much. You see the Lamb's Respite over the wall, buying crucial seconds for the Cassiopeia, but not going to be enough to keep her alive. Repulsive now going on to Striker. Here comes Sofian as well, but the Kindred with a little bit too much mobility, able to get away. Meanwhile, though, Gentleman Hero still farming in the top lane, is going to be able to get a plate or 2.
Yeah, you can see just more and more gold being funneled into the carries where you want it. Sure, Redeemed dies, but it's not the end of the world. Cube, by the way, has got 3 kills.
Oh, and he may be able to get a couple more as Kasimi is being played onto. Matthew ignited, Horn quite low, and he's not able to go forward. Kasimi, he can't get the auto attacks, but once again, flashes forward, and once again, finds a kill. Striker moving over, and Kasimi, he's not able to get the kill onto the Nautilus. Striker picks him up.
Oh, unfortunate. He's stuck with that Infernum. Doesn't deal any damage beyond a certain point, and not able to land that final auto attack. What is this game? The way that Kasimi plays, he plays like he's invincible, and for the most part, he manages to make it look like he is too.
But very invincible. I don't know if that's a word, but he's not an accelerated point, right? Last game, whilst Matthew was getting fed, Kasimi was able to match him and then was able to better leverage that power in the mid game. That hasn't happened here. KIT, they've got a 3,000 gold lead, and it's away from this bot lane. It's on Gentleman Hero. Striker also doing excellently for himself.
So really nice set of plays right here out of Kit. Overall, they feel like they're in the solid position in this game. They're only up by 2k gold though, and it was about 15-16 minutes last time around where all of a sudden the change of wind came and UDL managed to pull themselves back into the lead. Gonna feel a lot harder this time around, despite the fact that they're actually in less of a disadvantage, simply because the champions that Kit have scale just so well.
Oh, and look at this. Pre-14 minutes,
Wow.
Rift Herald donating so much gold into the back pocket of Gentleman Hero, and they've exploited this weakness in the top lane for UDL to the nth degree, getting a second charge as Kyube is moving over. Good hook there, connecting onto Redeemed. Kasimi is going to be the focus of the depth try. He's going to open back up onto Matthew, but he's going to be deleted. A double kill for Redeemed, and KIT are taking the lead on the other parts of the map and snowballing it down into this bot lane. Striker walking back to get away from the death sentence as Zangzid trying to play on top of that Kindred. Beautiful explosive cast to disengage the play, but it's not going to be able to get this Kindred off your back. Disgusting amounts of damage coming through from the Mountain Dread. And KIT, they find themselves a 5,000 gold lead once again.
Yeah, another nice play right there, and what a set of plays it has been. Everything that Kit does seems to be well executed and clean in this game. This is the Kit Esports that we used to know. It got a little bit hyphy, maybe trying to play up to Yenil Misler, same in the previous game, but this is slow, calm, and collected. Every single member doing their job, picking up the kills where they can.
Oh, Striker getting flayed back there, igniting his back. He's going to be able to drop that Lamb's Respite as Matthew is moving over, hoping to grab a couple of kills. The Vaultbreaker goes wide, and Sofian isn't able to take out the Kindred. Double stun coming through. The Grandmaster's Might is going to be able to buy a load of time for Repulsive. It's a shutdown for Kasimi, but he gets hooked once more. He can't find the access in these teamfights as Zangzid walking around, trying to dodge away from those miasmas as much as they can as Matthew has been jumped onto by the Gragas. He gets a reset, but he doesn't get away. And now the Twin Fangs will bite down onto Zangzid's health bar. Kyube with that aftershock dodges away from the body slam and doesn't get taken down by the task. Redeemed just needs a little bit more damage, but he's not going to be able to take out Zangzid. And once again, look top lane, Gentleman Hero is just taking another tower.
Oh, and that's the issue. You're getting Repulsive down into these fights, trying to use him to find some leverage, but it doesn't matter. Not when Gentleman Hero is able to just free farm in the top lane. Kayle free farming. That is not what you want to allow to happen. She's up 40 CS and currently does not have a fully completed item. Finally goes back, picks up a Nash's Tooth, most of a next item as well. And at this point, the Kayle feels just a little bit scary. It's level 11. That's the next step towards the truly divine Gentleman Hero that's going to be able to carry Kit to the next round, hopefully take us all the way to 3 games and really show off what this Germany squad is made of.
Surely it's enough.
Surely
it's enough. It's a 7,000 gold lead. It's a Kayle who is completely ridiculous. Every single champion on Kit is enabled. But still, there's that little bit of me which is worried for the legacy of KIT, because UDL have done some ridiculous things today. And it would have to be truly ridiculous to come back in this game.
If they come back from this one, then they are the comeback kings. There is nothing else for it. However, Kit, they've put themselves in the best position they could possibly do early game. You said they'd be happy if they just made it through the early game within a couple thousand gold. Well, they've made it through 7k up. Another fight here.
Striker being picked out in the enemy jungle. UDL just dropping as much CC as they can onto the Kindred. So they can't pop Salam's Respite and Redeemed. Oh, dodges away. Kasimi doesn't get hit by the Petrifying Gaze and shuts down the Cassiopeia. No way, Bloxer. No way. No way. No way are UDL doing it.
They have managed to pick themselves up 4 quick kills 16 minutes into the game, so luckily there's no Baron. However, going to pick themselves up a nice quick turret and blast themselves back down into this game. It looked like it was out of their reach. 4k gold is the difference. Going to pick up a turret, going to pick themselves up this Rift Herald as well. This team do not know when to quit. They will not lay down and take a loss. And this game feels a little bit closer than it was previously, which is definitely worrying.
KIT, I apologize for opening my mouth and tempting fate. Still, they're the team in the advantage, but it has been cut in half. And UDL are starting to get confident. They're starting to feel themselves. And when this team is confident, it feels like there's nothing they can't do.
Really does. They're an incredibly scary roster once they get past the early game. Don't know how to play it quite clearly.
No way.
Gonna be teleports down towards this bot side. Striker and Gentleman Hero need to be careful.
It's Striker once again, stepping up very far, but Sofian hasn't been able to find access. They jump onto Gentleman Hero, who cannot ult himself. The ult from downtown will take down Sofian, but killing off this KL is going to feel good regardless. Kasimi flashing forward, rooting Striker. The Kindred will not be able to escape.
Gentleman Hero didn't quite have ultimate up in that situation. Striker died before he was even able to use it. Sure, you have invulnerabilities, but that only matters if you're able to actually pop them.
Oh, Redeemed moving down. Kasimi stepping very far forward. Grounded, dead. Shut down for the Cass.
Hook lands.
Hook, the Horn. Repulsive needs to get out of there. UDL, maybe too confident there. Kasimi pushing the envelope as far as he can, but 5 deaths on this Aphelios who needs to carry you. It's not a good sign. Tainted also going to be providing a load of damage on this Gragas, but mid lane tower taken out by KRT. This is massive. Those oversteps that have been punished into the enemy jungle will no longer be oversteps. That's just where they're meant to be.
It feels like Redeemed is the quiet carry of this game, with that Seraph's Embrace as well as that Rod of Ages completed, just able to deal so much damage. Zangzed's gonna be jumped onto right here. A lot of members around.
Yeah, Horn is moving over. Root gonna be available. He's grounded. He can't move. He's stunned. He can't get out of there. Hook goes wide. Another shutdown. This one going over to Matthew.
Win, and you make it into the playoffs. Lose as Kit right here, and you are done. Kit have got 2 games that they've got to win, and it feels like a true uphill grind. Baron spawning in 42nd. You can see a lot of pings around the area. Another Drake to Kit as well. They're still nowhere near Soul Point yet, but it will be the potential Cloud Soul. To be honest, not that bad in this game. Extra movement speed on your Kayle, on your Cassiopeia, on your Jinx, always going to be useful.
And as Baron becomes a possibility, the amount of DPS that Kit have at their disposal is going to become a real threat. If that Baron is left alone for 10 seconds, it disappears. So UDL going to need to be incredibly vigilant. Gentleman Hero also on the split push. You cannot ignore this Kayle. Once she hits level 16, it's almost as good as GG.
Really is. Just cannot get too close to her. Watch that timer as it ticks upwards. The amount of time UDL has to survive ticks down. Level 16, watching out for it. Matthew, level 11 right now, also going to be incredibly strong. We've seen just how much he can get done with those super mega death rockets.
Oh, Redeemed opening up there with the Petrifying Gaze onto Repulsive. That counter-strike preventing the autos coming through from Striker, but he's got to flash away. Gentleman Hero is also TP'd up to display the super mega death rockets.
So
oh my
close,
word.
but still, that's a huge chunk done onto Repulsive. movement over towards the Baron, and any time that there's a Cassiopeia, you know the Baron's going to go quick. It's being absolutely melted right now.
Oh, well, it's just gone. It's just gone. UDL are not going to be able to get here in time. Horn misses with the hook, but the teamfight is going to be opening up nonetheless. Kasimi is going to be hit by the death charge, but how much damage can he do? Sofian in the pit fails the flash over the wall. The Divine Judgment is going to keep Striker alive as he continues to chuck out the damage. Kasimi has got so many chakrams at his disposal, but he's not going to be able to do anything. It's a pentakill for Matthew!
Oh, what a team fight right there. Kit needed something incredible to get them back into this game, and a penta kill for Matthew is what they ordered on their way towards taking us all the way to a game number 3, playing for their absolute lives. They do not want to get knocked out in this last chance qualifier.
Respawns are going to come through from UDL, so not even an inhib taken for KIT, but in a series which is slowly becoming the story of 280 carries, it's Matthew who shows up at the Baron pit and puts Kit in a dominant position.
Fighting in a enclosed space is exactly what Kit wants with this composition. Striker keeps everybody alive. Matthew does AoE damage with those rockets. Redeemed makes sure nobody can actually walk around. And Gentleman Hero just went into the backline with that ultimate, sat there and said, well, what are you gonna do about it? And the answer was nothing. Pentakill for Matthew is extra gold too into this man's back pocket, and he was already in a very strong position.
Oh, but look at UDL. They are not going to go down with a whimper. Horn on the flank, trying to catch out multiple members. Redeemed is going to be a little bit isolated here, but Kasimi is making a play onto Matthew. The exhaust buys so much time, and in the 1v1, the Jinx gets the kill. And KIT will not fall down. Repulsive diving into his doom. It is a clean ace, and the base will be the next target.
30 seconds until anybody with any real power respawns. This should 100% be the end. When you've got a Jinx, turrets are a mere suggestion in front of her, and the Nexus is the true target. We're going to a game 3.
KIT with a full scaling composition get a 23-minute win. We're tied up now. The next game wins it.
They're trying to kill us.
They really are.
They're trying to
They really are. I'm not gonna lie. When that team fight happened for UDL, I was thinking, no way. No way. But honestly, massive props to Kit. Massive props to Matthew. What a turnaround. From game 1 where the snowball into the mid game got delayed, got interrupted. KIT felt so much more confident in themselves that game, and frankly for UDL, yeah, you did your best, but not good enough in that mid game.
No, the early game is a true problem for UDL. This French squad seems to not actually know how to play an early game, and that's fine when they have the scaling and they can wait it out, but it is not when your opposition has just purely drafted scaling. They completely binned off the early game, and yet still won it anyway. That is not the way that you can play if this French squad want to either beat Kit, and then beyond that, do anything in the playoffs. They need to fix their early game. And the issue is, they kind of need to fix it within the next 5 minutes before the next game, which is quite a tall order. Kit, though, showed their drafting prowess by taking an incredible risk with that composition. Ridiculously risky, but played it so incredibly well. Redeemed was my MVP of that game. Sure, Matthew had a real pop-off performance, but constantly putting that miasma down, that petrifying gaze to stop engages, and just laying down enough damage with the twin fangs that meant Matthew could swoop in and clean it up.
Yeah, I think the petrifying gaze was just massive for preventing UDL from ingressing onto KIT. And shout out to Gentleman Hero as well on the Kale. I felt like as a pick, we didn't really get to see it come to fruition fully in terms of that massive behemoth in the late game that just does 1,000 true damage from 1,000 miles away. But he was winning out that early game pretty successfully versus Repulsive. And like you said, UDL have not got long to turn it around if they want to send themselves to the playoffs. We need a break. You need a break. These teams need a break. We're going to be back in a few minutes for the decider in this game between UDL and KIT. Don't go anywhere.
I hop out the car, leave the motor running. Why you always talking like you know something? Why you always talking, going show 'em something? No stunt double, I do my own stunt. Could take a year, I'll still have that paper coming. Put like 10 on
Hello, everybody. We've been watching some League of Legends. And I think the next game is going to be pretty damn good. The last chance qualifier for University Esports Masters, UDL versus KIT. In game one, UDL with a massive comeback victory, as they have done time and again today, off the back of some incredible play from Kasimi. But KIT in game two drafted a full late game composition, stomped the early game, and ended in 23 minutes. I have got no clue what's going to be hitting the Rift for game three, Bloxer, but it is do or die for both these teams.
It really is. I can make a couple of predictions. I predict there will be either an Aphelios or a Jinx, at least on one of these teams, if they don't both get banned, but I highly doubt that. And you said it during the previous pick ban phase. You didn't want to see Kit throw everything out and just try to ban away what was working for the opposition. They stuck to their guns, and it worked out incredibly well. I don't think you can run that composition back again. I think that's a little bit of a one-time banger, and a banger it was. And so what does Kit have? Because you, at this point, are pretty confident in the fact that UDL's early game is going to suck. I'd love to say it a little bit nicer than that, but there's no other true way to say it. They've only played bad early games that we've seen so far. Incredible mid to late games, though, but in the previous game, they'd had no chance to really come back online because the second that it got to the point where it looked like they were okay, maybe, Baron insta-taken, and the game was over.
And I think one of the key picks that you were talking about in the break, as we are heading into Champion Select for the final time today, was this Cassiopeia for Redeemed. And I have to agree with you. It really felt like it shut down a lot of the aggressive plays that UDL wanted to make. Not only that miasma to apply the grounded effect to make it so difficult to maneuver in these team fights, but the petrifying gaze. You can't move if you're stunned. And importantly, you can't get on top of these damage dealers if you can't move. So UDL potentially going to shake things up in draft. KIT probably going to have to do the same.
Yeah, I'm expecting things to be just quite different overall. It was kind of just a run back that we saw out of UDL. Kit, they're gonna take the Aphelios off of the board. Okay, not interested in playing with fire one last time. I was fascinated that they let it through last time around, and now, having just beaten it, not interested in seeing it. I can understand, though, because it is that level of late game scaling that is just nerve-wracking. You don't want to let UDL have that late game power.
Yeah, and I think specifically Kasimi, right? We just need to come out and say it. This guy's Aphelios is different. It does more damage. He has the right guns every single time. But now he's going to have to go back onto something like the Jinx, potentially, like the Xayah, like the Zeri. Striker not going to have the chance to pilot the Amumu, so UDL recognizing that that's a lot of strong backline access and taking it off the board.
It was something that Striker piloted incredibly well in that matchup versus Yenomisa, and hey, my predictions come through. What a shocker that we are going to see a Jinx in this game. What is the response going to be, though? UDL got 2 chances to pick something up, and it's not going to be the Ophelio since that once hit the ban table. Jinx into the Ezreal once again, perhaps? Are we going to see a Xayah? Hasn't popped up for a little while. Kayn, okay.
Ooh.
Hey, if that's blue Kayn, then you need to be very scared as Matthew, and it is going to be the Xayah.
Yeah, and you're right. This is a terrifying prospect for Matthew, a guy who I think we've criticized fairly rightly throughout the day, but last game, a bit of a hero, getting that pentakill around the Baron, the resets on the Jinx, dishing out so much damage, but he is going to be under a lot of threat in this game. And we've seen how Xayah, paired up with something like Rakan, can be used to play these aggressive lanes in the bot lane and get some early advantages, which is exactly what UDL will want for Kasimi.
Yeah, it really is. We are once again going to see that Jinx and Nautilus combo. It gives you a lot of early power in your laning phase, and then you can turn that into late game power simply through the Jinx. I do like the idea. Interesting to see what the next pickup will be. Expecting another jungler. Will it be that Belveth? Oh, potential Kindred once again. It worked out previously, and it is going to be locked in. Striker liked it. Striker played it very well. I can 100% understand why he's going for that again. And it has a decent matchup into the Kayn, because Kayn is not that impactful during the early stages of the game. Only thing is, Kayn likes to invade and steal away camps. Kindred likes to invade and steal away camps. I'm not sure if it's going to be Kayn's jungle and Kindred's jungle, or more just a collective jungle that they all dip into.
Oh, a jungle with camps that we can all take away. Horn going to be picking up the Renata, and with how keen KIT were to jump on top of Kasimi in the previous game, the additional safety that this pick provides is going to be incredible. That bailout can have so much value in late game team fights.
It truly can. You can just land it onto somebody, especially something like Repulsive, who's going to be going into the back line. See if you can pick yourself up a kill, survive just a little bit longer, the hostile takeover as well. When you've got things like a Jinx, like a Kindred, and it's all of a sudden wailing on your own carries, that can be such a bad situation to put yourself in. Kennen going to be taken off of the board. Kale too, not interested in seeing Gentleman Hero run that one back. I can 100% understand the fear.
Yeah, and it always seems to be with KIT that we get to a point where teams just go, hold on, Gentleman Hero is actually really good at League of Legends. The Fiora, an obvious permaban. The Kale and the Kennen going to be taken away as KIT once again throwing some focus into the mid lane. We've seen Zangzid have some incredible performances on stuff like the Victor, but we are getting a run back of the repulsive Lee Sin.
Yeah, once again, and I mean, why not? It was interesting up in the top lane. It didn't have a great matchup, to be fair, and so perhaps in a different matchup this will work out a little bit better. UDL, though, they clearly like to just play champions that they're comfy with, and Repulsive, he likes his Lee Sin.
That he does.
Oh! It's Nautilus mid!
No.
Yeah, bye-bye. Goodbye to middle court, and I can 100% understand that it is going to be a Nautilus mid. Oh, man. Nope.
No,
Nope.
No. I thought it could get weirder. But in game 3, the elimination match, KIT are going to be peeling out the Nautilus mid, Soraka in the bot lane. This feels pretty damn risky, though.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to be getting so much engaged coming out from your mid laner, you've not got very many defensive options in the bot side.
No, you do not. Gwen up in the top lane too, taking it to this Lee Sin. I don't think the Lee Sin has a particularly good time into this Gwen, and I think it's going to be a big skill matchup up there. Ari potentially to lock things out. It will be decent into the Nautilus, but Nautilus doesn't really care. Nautilus isn't interested in playing this matchup in the 1v1. Nautilus wants to just roam around and make everybody else's life hell. And hey, when you have got yourself a Kindred who loves to roam into the enemy jungle, and then you've got something like a Nautilus that could very easily go with you from the mid lane, this is going to be a very scary matchup for the Kayn to deal with. You said it, risky. However, the previous composition that Kit got for themselves, risky. This team likes to take a risk, and they are good enough to be able to make it work.
And it sets up these interesting lane assignments that these players won't necessarily be familiar with. I'm not sure how many times Gentleman Hero has played Gwen into Lee Sin top. I'm not sure how many times Sofian has had to play into a Kindred of the likes of strikers and bot lane. It's a complete shift up from what we saw in the previous game. It's not about engaging with these support champions. It's about buffing up your AD carries and providing them a little bit of safety. Game 3, Bloxer, everything on the line, do or die.
Does Kit SC White, two-time champions, get knocked out in the last chance qualifier by the French squad, or do UDL manage to make their way through? Or both of these options are incredibly spicy. With one, we get the absolute most dominant, most highly powered champions in the playoffs, incredibly hype, and if not, we get some Kingslayers, because taking out KSC immediately puts a target on your back. It proves to everybody else that you are one of the strongest teams in University Esports.
Yeah, but we've got to remember as well that for KIT, this is sort of a redemption that they need to make this year. The dynasty that they've able to establish lost a little bit of its shine last year, not able to even make top 4 in the competition. If they were not even able to make it to the playoffs, then we could be saying goodbye to, well, one of the greatest squads in a European University League of Legends. Of course, they do not want to go down. They will fight tooth and nail, as will UDL, to continue to re-establish themselves as a strong squad in the region. KIT with the Nautilus for redeemed. An aggressive move into the topside jungle of UDL, choosing to back away.
They're just going to push their way forwards. See if you can get a little bit something, but not quite going to go through. I think this Soraka could be incredibly impactful, because you have that roaming ambulance passive that means you're able to scream into any play, try to save somebody, but more than that, with that ultimate, you could potentially save on plays that are happening all across the map, and you have a little bit more time to hit that. Sometimes it could be quite a small window where you want to use that Soraka ultimate, and you don't really manage to get it through. But all of a sudden, if you've got somebody, say, sat inside of a Kindred ultimate, oh, okay, now we hit it, we're all of a sudden much more healthy than you are, and you get to run through that team fight.
And you've got to think as well, the Equinox silence AoE on the ground that the Soraka can provide as well. It's not a mechanic that you tend to play against a lot in League of Legends, and it can be so frustrating when you are playing something like the Kayn, who wants to be using that ultimate when they dive into the backline. Can't do that if you're silenced. If you're Kasimi, you need to get that Feathers Fly off at crucial moments, and if you're silenced, you just can't do that. So Cube has got a lot of responsibility on their backs in this game. Redeem there with a little bit of a disconnect, but we're going to be jumping back in ASAP. And now, I think the elephant in the room almost blocks is the early game. Can UDL, for the first time today, come out not at a deficit?
I mean, we hope so, right? We hope that this can turn into a nice, clean game. However, we have yet to see it out of UDL. So far, first 2.5 minutes, it's fine. Nothing has gone wrong so far. We have to watch as well this Kindred. Where do we end up with these marks? Is it going to be on the correct side, making way from bot side to top? So you're really hoping, as striker, that that mark lands on the top side Scuttle Crab. It is a split map situation. Sofian is going down towards the bottom side, which, while that would be good if the mark spawns down there, your bot side is getting a great shove, so you're not really... Oh!
Oh, that's big.
Oh, that's huge.
That's
repulsive.
very, very big.
I said it was going to be a skill matchup, and it certainly is right there, coming down to an absolute knife's edge. And Repulsive just going to go straight back to base. We've seen far too many people get solo kills this series and then stick around and not take their advantage and run with it. Coming back with double longsword, going to be in such a strong position versus this Gwen, who's had to recall but not got anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, that Dark Seal is going to help out a little bit with the additional AP, but I take a couple of long swords any day of the week. Redeemed has been shoved in a fair bit in the early stages. It can tend to happen on this Nautilus, but as you get more points in that E, your wave clear is going to ramp up fairly effectively and going to be able to contest the shove a little bit more.
And you also deal a surprising amount of damage as this Nautilus. Not solo kill necessarily damage, but certainly enough to just be annoying, be aggressive. This is a pick that's been popping up more and more recently, obviously being popularized through MSI, but still, we know just how strong it can be. Risky composition out of Kit, a little bit more standard out of UDL, and I can't believe I'm referring to the standard composition as the one with the Lee Sin top.
That does feel quite strange. But hey, that's the place that we find ourselves in. And for UDL, as it stands, the fact that there hasn't been too much action going down is going to feel great for them. Striker is going to be able to jump over this wall. Sofian is in a real dangerous spot. No, he was in the shop. He's going to flash away. Striker is going to continue chasing with those hail of arrows, the dance of arrows. But getting the flash out of the Kayn is going to feel great for you, but there's not too much more you can get on this top side.
No, but still managing to get that flash out, it just gives you a little bit more power. Is gonna find Zhang side right here. Has to flash instantly.
Second flash in the moment. No! Oh, Redeemed hits the wall. That's flash down on your Nautilus. He gets nothing for it.
Bad.
That feels so bad.
With having already blown the flash and no ultimate, Zhang side would have been dead in that situation, and that's also kind of your only window, because once Ahri has got that Spirit Rush, she's more than happy to just keep getting away. Doesn't really mind getting ganked like that. That was your true window, hitting the wall, not quite right, and in matchups as tense and as close as this, hitting the wall in that situation, one mistake like that can spell disaster for your team.
UDL going to be able to take away this early Mountain Drake, and oh no! Oh no!
Oh boy.
The lack of flash came to bear sooner than we may have anticipated. Zhangzi with a solo kill in the mid lane. And all we requested from UDL was this early game go a little bit better than previously. They have improved massively in the past 5 minutes, and they are 1,000 gold ahead!
They're ahead in an early game. What on earth has happened? And they're clearly not letting up with the pace of this game. Threatening around towards the bottom side of the map. You can see the next mark is going to be on that Gromp. And I don't think Striker's going to be able to get towards that. So just going to be sat on, I think, one mark right now. Not enough, not enough at all. And this is not the early game that Kit wanted. This composition needs to find themselves at least even coming into the mid game. Otherwise, it's going to be very tricky. Hang on, might get it. Does get it.
He gets the smite. Okay, that's
Nice.
big. That's big. The more of those marks that you're able to access, the better your champion becomes. It's generally how that sort of stuff works. Thought that Kit may have been thinking about a bot lane dive there, but decided better off it. And yeah, we're going to get another point in this game where one of these lanes has become shut off for them, because as soon as Kasimi gets the feathers fly, as soon as Horn gets the hostile takeover as well, there's no plays to be made in the bot lane.
No, absolutely not. Mid lane has already reached that point. Bot lane will do so very soon. So you're kind of meant to look towards the top lane, but I don't think Repulsive and Gentleman Hero particularly want anybody else to get involved. They're battling it out in this 1v1 advantage right now to Repulsive, teleporting back into lane at the moment, and you can see Sofian is around this top side, but nobody's particularly low because resets have just come through.
So it's very, very clear that KIT have not got the same sort of lead that they had before. Matthew trading autos with the Renata. Handshake going a little bit short there. You need to be careful here on. Actually, going to be slowed down, but Soraka doesn't provide a whole heap of CC. She's got a couple of heals, though, as the silence is going to be dropped down very early. Ignite going to be on top of Kyube, but not enough autos coming through from the Xayah to take him down. Recall coming out there for Kasima, but not able to catch anybody out. Both of these junglers now have access to level 6. Striker going to be able to keep his team alive. Sofian hoping to kill as many people as he can.
You really need Gentleman Hero to come online right now, because he is the only AP that this team has. I mean, unless you're relying on your Soraka and your Nautilus to deal it, in which case you're probably going to lose. Gentleman Hero needs to get ahead, but currently he's sat even on CS, not in a particularly strong position. Bot lane just going to keep trading back and forth. Striker, Matthew, plenty of AD damage, but yeah, if you want a nice, well-rounded profile, not having AP in the mid lane is quite risky.
Yeah, and you sort of expect Redeem to be able to make plays, but he fundamentally hasn't been able to do that. Kasimi jumping on top of Kyube. The feather's
Nice
going to get pulled back.
Oh!
The flash! Matthew with a kill in the 2v2. And Kit's bot lane do not want to fall out of the tournament.
Oh my god, Matthew, he really has turned it on. He was not playing well for the first couple of games that we saw, but all of a sudden this man is on fire. What a nice play, and the amount of burst execute damage that Super Mega Death Rocket can deal is ridiculous. The second he ticks 6, uses it, manages to pick up a kill, and it looked like it was going to go really well for UDL. Kasimi getting way too aggressive, now has no ghost, no flash, and so is in a pretty vulnerable position without that ultimate.
Gentleman Hero going to be dropping the needlework level up as Repulsive going in for a trade. Is just going to be able to clear out this minion wave as actually Hexdrinker being popped is pretty big. Not going to have access to that for the next 90 seconds.
Yeah, if Gentleman Hero wants to go back in there, there may have been a possibility. Unfortunately, cooldowns were not available, so just having to sit back. CS very even in this top lane, and so actually Repulsive staying. Interesting.
Surely the Lee Sin doesn't win in this situation. Gentleman Hero just trying to shove this one out. Zhangzid is roaming over Repulsive, starting off the play before the Ari is even going to be able to get here. Gets the kickback, the Soraka, the healing coming through in time. Zhangzid chasing with the Spirit Rush. It's a flashback away. Gentleman Hero slain by the Ari.
Oh, Repulsive knew that he could stick around because Zhangzid was up there, even through that wish, managing to survive that one. Matthew needs to be super careful. There's quite a lot of members floating around his turret. Looks like he's going to be okay. Kyube, though. Oh, Kyube.
Or we could walk directly into Horn, but the Renata will instead try and make a play onto the Jinx. The handshake is going to be connecting. Sofian going to be able to run through with that humble trespass. And Kyube has nowhere to go. The silence is going to buy a little bit of time. The feathers are going to get pulled back. The kill goes in favor of Sofian. And after a day of terrible early games, UDL find themselves 2,000 gold to the good, a couple of dragons to the good, 4 kills to the good at 10 minutes.
This is what we wanted out of UDL now. It would be truly ironic for them to now lose out in the later stages of the game, but I don't think that's going to happen. Big
double knockup from the death charge. Horn and Sofian having to get over that wall as Kasimi has found Matthew in a 1v1. The cleanse gets him away from the feathers, And the Jinx
He's good.
surviving on about 2 HP. Sofian, though, here flashing forward, dealing a load of damage as Striker. Still has the ult available. He's going to flash away before he has to use it, but still going to get locked down. It's a massive fight here in the bottom side. The Soraka is going to buy a load of time. Sofian not quite able to find access. And KIT, 11.5 minutes in, fighting massive team fight in the bot side river.
Oh, they're going to be able to pick themselves up this Drake as well. And huge fight right here. The fact that Matthew survived, the fact that Striker survived, using their champion's health bars to the absolute limit. That Lamb's respite. It was game-changing. It was certainly team fight changing. It may well be game-changing.
Absolutely. And that dragon going to be picked up. I thought it was so guaranteed for UDL. I even called it, but KIT even up the kill score, even up the Drake score. They're still down a little bit in terms of gold, but if they keep team fighting like that, this is anyone's series.
Really is. QA needs to... I don't know what he needs to do in this situation. I don't think there's much that was still around. Tangside is actually 3-0. I'm not so sure about Ahri at the moment. She deals plenty of damage, sure, but the lack of just true burst to be able to take one member out, or true AoE to be able to shred through a whole team, is a little bit worrying. Still, though, plenty of ability to just weave through these fights. Repulsive has been allowed to take a full turret worth of plates, as well as being up by 30 CS. Means that he's in a very strong position. The Lee Sin didn't work last time, but it certainly is this time around.
And how fitting it is in potentially the last game that for UDL, it's not Kasimi, it is Zhangzid, it is Repulsive that are making the plays work. No ult available for the Xayah, so she should just be dying down. She's still able to get the root up onto Striker, who's going to fall into his grave. Disastrous dive as it's another kill for Zhangzid, and Kasimi picks up one as well.
That one just did not work out. They took so many turret shots, and you donate another kill over to Zhangzid. 4-0 now, sitting very pretty, especially with that glacial augment.
Yeah.
Sorry, Everfrost.
Everfrost, that's what it's called.
Everfrost.
There's so many frozen items in this League of Legends game, but the Dark Seal with those 6 stacks is going to feel great as well. Hold on, Zhangzid.
Oh, nearly hit.
Nearly hit. He's still going to be able to get that turret plate, though, and this Ahri is massively accelerated.
You need to find a kill onto this Ahri in the very small window where she doesn't have ult. Gentleman Hero just having to book it back to the tower. Does make it.
He is going to be able to burn the W and the needlework to get away, but that's a big cooldown on that ult, and you need it if you're going to be finding any kills versus Repulsive.
Hey, you really are. Repulsive at this point is a little bit out of reach, has gone straight towards that Maw. Just does not want to die to the AP damage of Gentleman Hero, and if you can negate that damage, you're in a pretty good spot because there's no more of it on Kit's team.
Yeah, it just basically completely invalidates Gentleman Hero as a champion right now. Sofian potentially getting a little bit greedy, stealing away these walls, but the Kayn, like you were mentioning in Champions, like so effective in terms of this counter jungling, starting to build up a pretty decent lead over Striker.
Yeah, it really is, and Striker needs to get back onto it because with a complete lack of marks as well, not sat in a particularly good spot, you need to get over that 4 threshold as quickly as possible. Currently has 3, sitting just below where he needs to be, but still, you just want to be getting as many marks as possible. Each one you get, a little bit more damage, a little bit more range on your auto attacks, everything that a Kindred needs, otherwise you're sat being very, very low ranged.
Oh, Striker. Oh, I'm not sure about that one, buddy. Okay. Okay, just chill out. Okay.
Poke a bee's nest in League of Legends, because that was that.
I mean, my dad is a beekeeper, and it turns out that having a fight with bees is a bad idea. Kyubey, once again, going to get caught out here on the Soraka. The flash forward, but Striker there, just in time with the Lamb's Respite. Off your screen, Sofian has St. Matthew, and that hostile takeover is massive. It's UDL fighting the team fight in the bottom side. It's UDL taking over, and it's Gentleman Hero, the only one for KIT left alive.
Only person finally to survive. Kyubey, he just got caught out, and instead of just saying, oh, well, we lose our support, not the end of the world, they end up losing 4 full members. Gentleman Hero not even going to be able to take down this full turret in the time that the mid lane is also popped.
And for KIT now, you are hoping for a repeat of game 1, but the nameplate's a little bit reversed because 16 minutes in, UDL are up 8,000 gold.
Wow. At this point, wow, what can you do? Kit, they have a ton of scaling, sure, but it's not like they completely and utterly outscale their opposition. Sofian has also got that blue cane, and we've barely talked about the fact that there's a blue cane in the game, because you don't need that sudden burst assassination if you could just walk at your enemies and kill them front to back.
And that's what we've been seeing, and it's been missteps coming through. Cayube just not respecting the fact that he couldn't be in his own jungle at that point in the game, and UDL so willing to take the fight like they have done every single game today, and they have found themselves in an absolutely brilliant position for their chances of making it all the way to the playoffs. I think now is a pretty good time to take a little bit of a breather, to take stock of what we've got going on. Bloxer, if I'm a KIT super fan, if I have seen this team at the very heights of success, what am I hanging on to now? What is the thing that I can hold on to, that this team can play to push them through and end this game in their favor?
Jinx. It's gotta be Matthew. If he can find a couple of kills, find that pop-off performance like he had in the previous game, then you can win. Matthew is a great player. He's not had a great day today, but he has that greatness in him. We saw it in the pentakill, in that previous game. And he just needs to channel that same energy, that same ability right now. Just find some way back into the game through Jinx resets, but it's so incredibly difficult because he can't just sit there and do damage, not like he could in the previous game. There's a Kayn who could just jump into the backline and blow him up. Sure, you have a Soraka, but Soraka's only good for some heals and running towards you. Nautilus, sure, with some ability to just stop the damage.
Oh, Gentleman Hero called out on the side lane in 1v2, and it's not going to end well for the Gwen. Sofian with the Umbral Trespass, Jangzid with his 6th kill of the game. KIT trying to respond with a tower on this top lane, try and funnel some gold into Matthew, this Jinx, this potential hyper carry. But if UDL keep playing with this pace, then KIT won't be able to get there in time.
Shoot the Super Mega Death Rocket. See if they can maybe steal away this Drake. Not gonna land. Just give the vision that says, yes, Sofian is taking this away, and there's nothing that Kit can do about it. It's now a Drake apiece. Gonna be 2 into the back pocket of UDL.
Oh, Striker caught by the charm! How does that land? The Gale Force from Kasimi! Of course he goes forward for the kill.
The Lamb's Respite is such a long cooldown, but between it you have more than ample time to be able to pick yourself a kill. Deem stepping forward's not going to be able to find the very low Sofian, just going to be able to go straight back to base. And this game is just going from bad to worse for Kit. UDL managed to win an early game, and clearly that was all that they needed to ascend to a truly dominant team.
They are looking pretty damn impressive. Zhangzhid with 16 stacks on the Medjais, another charm connecting redeemed. Still tanky on the Nautilus with that Abyssal Mask, but he wants to be going forward with that Dreads line. He wants to be going forward with stuff like the Depth Charge, not escaping to the relative safety of his own tower.
No, you do not want to be just running away. It's kind of all that can be done. Turret is getting picked up as well. Hook does land, though. Potential fight right here. Redeemed has the Depth Charge. Does he pop it?
Horn with the Shuraliers.
Nope.
And him and Zhangzhid able to run away, and Kit, they just can't find the fight. This Ahri a little bit too slippery, and if they keep chasing, they could be running into big, big trouble. Horn should get taken down here, but Sofian waiting in the wings. That Hourglass is going to buy some time. The ultimate too, but UDL choose not to re-engage that fight. So Kit, great, you got a pick on the support. Let's just have about 20 more of those.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot more than just a pick onto the support.
Oh, no.
Matthew is going to need...
Oh no! Sofian has run from Africa straight into Matthew, and he's going to be able to take him out!
Oh, the amount of damage that just happened. Sofian is just going to be able to walk away from this one too, surely. Has such a slippery champion in his hands. Striker chasing down, but not going to be able to...
Look in the mid lane! Look at the mid lane. Kasimi's just had free move over there. Redeemed having to Tries to light himself away. A teleport is going to come down. Okay, potentially catch here onto Sophie, and that's a shutdown secured charm. And finally, Striker is able to get the Lamb's Respite in a decent situation, but Kasimi has also joined the fight. Jangjid, his godlike, keeps resetting forward with the Spirit Rushes, and yeah, it just doesn't matter. This Ahri is way too fed, and UDL with 3 members pushing in the bottom lane, hunting for the inhibitor. Gentleman Hero going forward, opening up with the needlework. It's a 2v3. But the Gwen still able to put out a fair bit of damage. Zhang's so low. That's a wonderful handshake. Those Repulsive are diving in. It's a 1-for-1 under the tower. But no, Repulsive is able to get out of there. Gentleman Hero falling for the 4th time this game.
You can see it's going from bad to worse to the absolute worst possible scenario. You make it all the way into these finals of the lower bracket as Kit, and you're going to lose it. UDL, they are up by about 11,000 gold. That is a ridiculous amount, and so much of it is concentrated onto this Ahri, with so many defensive tools as well. Sure, it's a full stacked Medjais. By the way, it's a full stacked Medjais.
Oh
but
no! Oh, the silence buying time, Sofian. A little bit too aggressive, a little bit too far forward, but he's going to be able to get out of here. The Kane is just too fed at this point. Even when you catch him out, you don't really catch him out.
No, he still gets to survive. Nearly managed to assassinate 2 different champions at once. Usually when you say an assassin, they manage to blow up 1 champion, not both the AD carry and the support in one go. Zangzid
Striker
just gets it. Just gets it. Nice and easy. He does not care. He played some brilliant games on the Yone earlier on. Zhang's perfectly happy to be playing this Ahri Baron on the cards 21 minutes into the game, and Kit feel like they are truly out of this one.
Oh, a teleport is going to come through from Gentleman Hero. They need to make something happen. But they can't. The Baron's going to go over UDL. Not only have they got a 12,000 gold lead, they've got a Baron buff as well. And for KIT, it feels like it's it. It feels like this is the end. UDL are just 1 push away from sending themselves to the University Esports Masters playoffs.
What an insane performance it's been. UDL having to run it through the losers bracket. Perfectly happy to do so, though, clearly. Repulsive going in.
Oh, he's going to get the kick down onto Striker, who has the Lamb's Respite. Death Charge going to be invested to kill the Lee Sin. Should be successful. Shutdown, that's gold going on to Striker. That's big. If this Kindred can somehow become relevant, there is a chance for KIT, but it is a snowball's chance in hell.
It really is. You've got to keep yourself afloat above the absolute torrent that is UDL, constantly able to find picks, find damage. At this point, it's just pure split push out of Gentleman Hero in a desperate attempt to find any gold on the map whatsoever.
And Zhangji blast coding into the base. He's going to get locked down actually under this tower, but Kasimi's still going aggressive, going on a killing spree. The Zhonya's is going to buy time. It's 3 kills in the base. A double for Sofian as he is going to be dropping down. UDL going to be able to crack open this base. They should be able to take down this inhibitor, but Striker has enough damage to push them away. Teleport into the bottom side from Zhangji, but UDL cool off the play. They're just going to retreat back to this Infernal and pick up soul points.
Why not when you could just pick it up? There's no need to throw this game away. UDL, they know what a comeback is like. Don't need to give your opposition the chance to be able to do so. And be able to pop down this Drake. Infernal Soul on top of all of the damage that UDL already do. Just ridiculous.
Sofian, Zhangjid, Kasimi, the entire crew are going to be hitting like a truck. I appreciate backing away there, understanding what is at stake, not only for themselves, but for what this victory would represent for university competition across Europe. 24 minutes in. The Nexus, so tantalizingly within reach, but they're not there yet. Zhangjid looking for a pick onto Striker, who's able to get over the wall. Sofian finding it with the Prowler's Claw. The Lamb's Respite. Buying 2.5 seconds and not a moment more. A killing spree for Sofian as Repulsive takes down Gentleman Hero in the bottom lane. And that should be it. This top lane push empowered by the last few scraps of the Baron buff should open up this base even further for UDL.
0-5-0 for Gentleman Hero. He's not had a good game. This Gwen pickup just has not worked into the Lee Sin. We questioned the Lee Sin. We weren't sure if it was going to be able to work this time around. It certainly has done. The push, top lane inhibitor gone. Mid lane inhibitor gone. Is there anything to be done? Horn does die.
As a pick onto the Renata, and Repulsive
not
quite able to get over the wall. Charm going to be locked down onto the Nautilus. Matthew with a reset, but this is a very different game state. The Penta feels a million miles away, but Kit, hang on.
Gonna go in onto Sophia and just kind of stop the recalls from coming through, delay the bases just a little bit. Makes sense, but it feels like the last desperate gasps from a team that doesn't really know what to do. It was only because Horn and Repulsive stepped a little bit too far forwards. If you want to get back into this game, you need to be waiting for another 20 or so minutes. That'd be a 45-minute long game, which just feels completely out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah, and if you look at Zhang's inventory, he's going to be full build in possibly 2 minutes. Lining up right when the next Baron is going to be spawning, lining up right when this Infernal Soul is going to come online for UDL. They don't need to rush. They can play it slow. They can play it patient. But you know, as soon as they see an opportunity to grab this win, to grab this series, they're going to take it with both hands.
And they really are going to. Just such a strong performance out of every single member of UDL. Nobody has been dead weight in this game. The only quiet person has been Horn, and that's simply because Renata's not that flashy a champion. Let's see, we've got Soul Point coming up in 2 minutes. Do we think we even get to that point?
That's a question that really only KIT can answer. Are they able to push this game further? Are they able to hang on despite every single advantage against them? Gentleman Hero being played onto by 2 members of UDL, but he's able to get away just in time. The Gwen still does loads of damage. She's 2.5 items. She can still tear people apart. Is redeemed, is finding a hook in. First skill of fight is Kasimi is able to take down Striker, and this is going to be it. Matthew gets excited, but what for? But what for? His own demise. As UDL get 4. They get the inhib. And how fitting it is that Gentleman Hero, the man that has done it all, shall be the last remnants of the KIT dynasty. As new kings in town, as UDL will take out KIT, qualify for University Esports Masters playoffs.
What a performance right here. We see Kit Esports White fall. The powerhouses from Germany do not make it out of the last chance qualifier. They do not manage to proceed. Lost out earlier on in the day to Yenomizler, an insane team from Turkey. And now, comeback kings UDL finally find a way to play during the early game. And as soon as they do so, they run straight through their opposition.
They're not just the comeback kings. They are the kings. I thought that there was a chance for KIT, but how fitting it was then the final game, the game that they needed to win to qualify UDL. It's not all about Kasimi. It's Zhangjid in the mid lane. It's the Lee Sin top. It's Sofian subbing in for the series and putting up immaculate numbers on the Kane. We said that if this team wants to do anything in playoffs, they need to get their early game under control, and that early game was control.
It really was. Every single lane was firing on all cylinders. And imagine how differently that one could have gone if it was the Gwen that got the solo kill in the early stages of the game. If 1 or 2 of those dives happened slightly differently. We had a ton of long, extended team fights that almost went Kit's way and then didn't quite. But it isn't a game of ifs. It is what happened. And what happened was UDL managed to wipe the floor with Kit Esports, an incredibly storied roster, 2 times champions, and they're not even going to make it to the playoffs. It's been a decline for them over the recent years, and all of a sudden, some new kings are in town. And think about this. These are the teams who had to last chance qualify to make it to these tournaments. There are 6 teams that already are in playoffs who are incredibly strong, leagues above some of the stuff that we've seen today, and I, for one, cannot wait for the playoffs.
It's going to be an absolute banger. And The production team have just posted the screenshot of all of the end game damage in our little chat, and it's basically even across the board for Repulsive, Sofian, Zhangjid, and Kasimi. A real team performance coming through, and for as good a team as KIT have been today, the better team won out in the end, and the better team will be going to playoffs.
They really will be. It's sad if you like University Esports and like watching the same players year on year, but I love seeing the new talent rise up, some new squads showing up and showing why they've managed to make it this far. These are the top teams from their individual countries. This is some of the best that France has to offer, and the fact that they're able to take out one of those top tier teams, it makes you really wonder. I think if they'd have come into the playoffs having made it through the last chance qualifier and hadn't beat Kit, then you'd be like, okay, not sure about this team. But they've beaten Kit Esports. All of a sudden, every other team who's in the playoffs already is going to have to watch out for this team. Know that they have some iffy early games, but some immaculate late game performances.
And they did it the hard way, right? It's through the lower bracket. It's through the last chance qualifier. It was through early games that they had absolutely no business getting anything out of. But I think that really is the mark of a true team, right? It's not necessarily about how you win. It's about how you refuse to lose, and you say, no, I'm not going to fall down today. I'm not going to let you tear me apart. I'm not going to let you push me down. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand tall. I'm going to put up a performance which, frankly, I didn't think was possible. I didn't think that in game one, it was possible to come back, but they showed us that it was possible. And I believe we're going to be having the MVP here for this game. And honestly, it feels horrible to pick out one individual player because it has been such a team performance from UDL, but we've got to do it at the end of the day. And there we are. No, it's Zhangjid there.
11-0-11.
11.
0 deaths. In a game with so much damage from the enemy team, 0 deaths is ridiculous. And 11 kills, 11 assists. Really got involved in the majority of the kills that happened across the board. A truly incredible performance. Turns out that hook hitting the wall rather than him during the early stages of the game was the beginning of the end for Kit.
And I think it's a testament to how good both of these teams were that we can pick out that solo kill top lane, that flash hook hitting the wall as potentially being series-defining moments, because if you've got Gentleman Hero 1-0 in that top lane, if you've got Zhangjid not in a position where he can snowball on this Ahri, then we're looking at a completely different series.
Yeah, we really are. It was the Ahri just being unkillable. Plenty of people chasing her around the map, but always had a Zhonya's, always had that Spirit Rush to just get out of dodge, and then dealt more than enough damage onto whoever was around. Really impressive performance, but it was impressive performances across the board. I don't think anybody particularly needs to hang their head in shame from either of these teams, but especially not from UDL. What a performance that they managed to pull through, and look at this bracket right here. We know who is being sent through. UDL 2-0, and you can see they got knocked down pretty late on in the day, but once they were down in this lower bracket, more than happy to keep running it through.
Absolutely, and I think it's a real test of mental fortitude going through all of these different best of ones, because you are playing against some very, very different styles, right? EB completely different to the way that KIT are attributing resources, as were LUL, but UDL have shown the ability to go, actually, hold on, being a better team, being able to team fight even when we're down is a strategy that is evergreen, that is always going to work.
Yeah, it really is. Just having that level of grit. Coming into a best of 5, obviously there won't be any best of 5s until the finals, but having that ability to get knocked down and stand back up within a series as well as within a specific game, really impactful, the kind of thing that a lot of teams look for in their players. And University Esports is a really interesting one where you have to be going to that university anyway. It's not like professional leagues where you pick out the best teams and try to make a composition that works together. To have found 5 players that know how to play back within one singular university is really impressive.
And I just want to remind you of what was written in the prep document that we got at the start of the day by UDL. The real team this time. Yes, it was. This was the real team.
Yeah, they played during the actual group stage and didn't do particularly well, I guess, had a different roster involved, which is not ideal. You know, exam seasons are happening around about this point as well, and so didn't get to see their full strength, but clearly when it's the real roster this time, this team can truly get some impressive victories under their belts.
Yeah, and I've got some very good news for you. In a couple of minutes, we are going to be having an interview, and it is going to be with Kasimi. So I'm so excited to hear from the man himself about how UDL were able to pull that back. But before we chat to him, I kind of do want to just gush on him a little bit, because it was a team performance fundamentally from UDL, but the only way that they were able to get to that final game and to show off what they could do as a team was some stunning individual performances from this man.
Yeah, exactly. We had some brilliant Yone performances, getting some of those fate sealed that just really did seal the fate of the opposition, getting so many incredibly well done knockups, incredibly well done plays overall. Everything that this man did was nice. Even in that second game that went the way of Kit, it wasn't like it was him who fell down and who had a bad game. The rest of the map kind of collapsed around him, and he was trying his best. Unfortunately, it was just one of those compositions where, you know, Kit were going to win that one as soon as they got a slight advantage in the early game, but in a more standard composition, in a more standard game, this man was just so clean and consistent, which is kind of the most you can ask for from your mid laner. If your mid lane does have a bad game, that can really change the way that you have to play.
Yeah, as I believe Kasimi is just around the waiting room on our thing, so we are going to be having the chance to chat with him in just a few minutes. Bloxer, I've really enjoyed today. It's been a really good showing of League of Legends, and whilst it has resulted in fundamentally there are two teams that have to qualify through, I think that kind of everyone that we've really seen today can hold their heads high. It's not like anyone's gone down without a fight.
No, absolutely not. Nobody just rolled over and let it happen to them. Every single team today deserves to be very proud of themselves. You are the top team, or one of the top teams in your entire country, and you're one of the top teams across the entirety of Europe. It's such a good showing, very impressive from all involved, and everybody deserves to feel pretty good about themselves. Yanomizla, UDL, they're plenty happy with getting through, but every single team definitely deserves to be proud.
Yeah, and there were a few rosters coming through that this was their first experience at UEM, so potentially lit a fire in their bellies to come back in 2024 and perform even greater. I believe that now we are going to be having the interview with Kasimi. Should just be able to chat with him in just a moment's time. Kasimi, how are you doing, my man? Congratulations on the win.
Hello, hello. Thank you. I'm good. I'm feeling good. Finally, we have the whole team, so it worked. I mean, we had some issue at the start. We had to play with a sub because our jungler had some issues. And we lost the first one, so it was kinda messy. But in the end, we made it through the lower bracket, and I think we showed great League of Legends today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that was really standing out for us on the cast was how many times you guys would have some not great early games, but then it would get to sort of 18, 20, 22 minutes, and you come alive. It didn't seem to matter what the gold lead was. You'd find these incredible fights and be able to turn around these games that seemed unwinnable. How does a team do that?
So there's a lot of reason behind that. I mean, the first reason why we were that behind in early games that we didn't play together for 3 months, I think. So there was some, as a team, it was not the best. But then we remembered that we were just better than the opponents at kinda every role. And yeah, there were some outplays there and there. And the draft, I did a lot of the draft, of course, with the team, and we took a lot of scaling champs with the Aphelios. We played it a lot. So even if we go behind in early game, we still have something left in our pocket to come back later on the later stage.
Yeah, and Kasim, before I pass it over to Bloxer for a couple more questions, I just want to ask you about that Aphelios, because you played that pick so aggressively. There were a couple times where it looked like you've been caught out, but actually you just flash Gale Force forward, go for those kills. What are you feeling like in those moments? How do you recognize the situations where you go, actually, hold on, they're not catching me, I can catch out them?
At this exact moment, I do indeed get caught by the Syndra stun.
Yeah.
But then they are packed Syndra and Jinx. I have Infernum and Chakram. I just ult and I go in. I mean, they have no damage if I kill them both, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If the opponents are dead, they can't deal any more damage. Bloxer, any questions for the UDL AD carry?
An incredibly impressive performance out of all of you guys. What were the comms like during those moments where perhaps you were not having the best early games? Was it very calm, or was there a little bit of panic? And also, was there any feeling of worry coming up against Kit SC White, who is one of the best teams that we've had across the whole of Europe?
So when it comes to the comms, I shot call kinda almost everything. This is not something I'm used to in my real team when I play in France. But here I try to call a lot. And when we go behind, I say, guys, trust me, I am the carry. I know I will do it with my mid laner, with Zhang Sid. So just stall the game, chill out, and we're gonna win eventually. And then against the last match against Kit, the second game, I think it was, we played kind of poorly, but the draft was not something we used to play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
we
was
were new.
weird.
I mean, our top laner, Repressive, self-countered himself with Jax into Kale. So kind of hard. And we want to have Zangsid on like control mages, scaling things, and he was on Gragas. So draft was a bit bad. So it's my bad. But then on game 3, I just said to the team that, okay, it's the last one. Just pick comfort. And they didn't ban Kane. We took Lee Sin top again. Xayah was open, so we knew that. I mean, it was just a gift, so we took the win.
Yeah, and I guess I could ask you sort of how you feel about moving on to going on to like the playoffs and everything, and how you're going to feel about going against these teams. But instead, on the Amazon University Esports Masters Twitters, after one of your plays, they called you the French Gumayushi. How do you feel about that title?
I mean, during the day, we were watching MSI between the breaks, and I was kinda a Gumayushi hater.
Oh.
So maybe not the best title. I think I prefer Viper or Ruler.
Okay.
So you can call me French whatever, but don't call me edgy boy, please. What is that?
Well, I'm sure we wrote. Kazumi, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, massive congratulations on the win today, and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you very much. It was my first interview in my League of Legends, so I'm really happy. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries. You did a great job. We'll hope to see you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh,
brilliant!
I love
brilliant
that. That was brilliant. That was a perfect mix of wholesome, but also, yeah, I'm just better than them.
He knew how good he was, and hey, not wrong in this situation. Absolutely not wrong. Incredibly great performances out of everybody. Both Yeno Mizler and UDL need to be very proud of themselves. Turkey, France, extra representatives in these playoffs. And it's going to be a just mad one, ridiculous. I think we're going to be showing off the calendar in a second to, see what else we're going to be looking forward to, because there is a lot more University Esports coming up.
Yeah, obviously, the last chance qualifier today, qualifying our teams into those playoffs, which are going to be played on the 28th of May. Of course, if you're interested in some other esports, we've got the playoffs for Rocket League coming up tomorrow. We've also got the Valorant playoffs coming up in a couple of weeks' time, as well as TFT and Clash Royale. So really, whatever esports you are interested in, you can find it here at Amazon University Esports Masters. But, Bloxer, it has been one heck of a day of League of Legends. Final thoughts before we close out the show.
Just excellent. If you're sat here at home watching and you don't play for your university, do it. Join. Almost every single university, at least in the UK, has got a League of Legends team, has got one of the teams at least, even if League isn't quite your game. Join up. Maybe you will make it this far. Maybe Sunny Alicante will be in your future. And if not, it's just a great time. So get involved if you can. The esports societies are such a great place to make friends, meet people, and you get to compete in awesome tournaments like this.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Thank you very much, Black Bloxer, for joining me for the cast. And shout out to production as well. They've been making sure that everything has been running in the background. They've been doing an absolutely great job. I have been Midicott. This has been Amazon University Esports Masters. We'll see you later.